Everything starts in a fancy hospital room, the kind with extra perks. A woman's there about to have a baby, but she's just chilling, flipping through a magazine like it's no big deal. She finally lost her cool. Still flipping through her magazine, she snapped at the nurses, demanding that they hurry up and get the baby out. Out of nowhere, the sound of a baby crying fills the room. One of the staff members hurries over, grinning, ready to give the new grandpa a pat on the back. Everyone turns to Miss, offering their congrats. She gives a small nod, looking grateful as she acknowledges everyone's support. He looked around and spotted a maid nearby. Curious, he wanted to know where it had gone. The maid let him know that the young master had some stuff to handle on Earth, so he wasn't around right now. The boy's grandfather was really angry that his own son wasn't around. He couldn't hide his disappointment, thinking his son was just letting everyone down. Right at that moment, a weird scream echoed from the delivery room, catching everyone outside off guard. Could feel the tension building, so got up clearly anxious, trying to figure out what was happening inside. Back in the room, the mom just froze, totally stunned by this super bright light blasting in front of her. The grandfather and his crew step into the room and just stop dead in their tracks. It's like someone hit pause, nobody moves, nobody talks. The whole vibe shifts as they take it all in, everyone just standing there, not sure what to do next. Light was shining from the newborn, who was wrapped in yellow lightning. The kid didn't look scared at all. He actually seemed to be enjoying every second of it. Nobody would expected a regular kid like him to end up in a powerful family, let alone come back to life with some kind of special abilities. Even the baby himself couldn't believe it, waking up in a place like this, feeling different, almost like he had some higher purpose. It was wild, and definitely not something anyone could have predicted. Suddenly, a screen pops up in front of him, letting him know his lightning-type divine sense just kicked in, running at sea-level strength. The grandfather just stood there, completely shocked. His grandson had come into the world with a power he could never get for himself, no matter how hard he tried. It was one of those moments that left him speechless, watching something impossible actually happen right in front of him. The grandfather lets go of his cane and starts going off about how his grandson has this crazy natural instinct, something you just don't see every day. Grandfather lifted his grandson into the air, grinning from ear to ear. He couldn't hide how proud he was, feeling like his family had finally gotten someone special, someone who stood out from the rest of the clan. It was a big moment for him, and he wanted everyone to know just how excited he was. The baby saw this as his big chance. He figured he could use this moment to take everything from the clan and make sure his father never came back, not even in another life. While the maids watched, they noticed the young master seemed different from other babies. He was already smiling, not even shedding a tear. To them, it felt like a hint that he was meant for something bigger, maybe even a special future ahead. The elder gives his word to look after the boy, planning to use everything the clan has to help him grow up strong. The main character, just a baby, feels like the past 6 months since that jerk got rid of him have been unreal, almost like he's stuck in some weird dream. A month had passed since he was born again. Around this time, his mom started drinking some kind of special drink that one of the maids gave her. The moment she takes a sip of the tonic, a strong golden light starts shining all around her. Even before he was born, he started growing way faster than normal, leveling up to D rank while he was still just an embryo. He thinks about how regular people just can't compete with the big, powerful clans. He's already made it to a level that most people would do anything to reach, and it hits him how far ahead he really is. The main character can't help but feel confused, trying to figure out what this ability actually is. He looks for answers but can't find anything about growing faster than normal anywhere. 2 months later, he ran into a problem with the original embryo from his mom. It was rough, and things got shaky for a bit. But somehow, after getting through it, he ended up with a reward. Thanks to his fast growth, he ended up absorbing the original embryo. After that, he picked up a natural sense for lightning powers. He can't believe his luck. He's got a lightning-type divine sense, and that's not something you see every day. Most people don't even get close to having something this rare, so he's feeling pretty awesome about it. The main guy decides he's going to use all the good stuff his family has to get stronger. He's got access to the best food, gear, and training, and he's not wasting any of it. He figures if he really puts in the work and takes advantage of what's around him, he'll level up faster than anyone else. 3 months went by, and his lightning powers had gotten even stronger. Now he was at the next level. High heels and women's underwear were lying all over the floor in his mom's room. 2 pairs of feet were mixed together on the bed, looking relaxed and close, like they were just enjoying each other's company. The woman hung out with a guy, even though her son hadn't been born yet. He was still growing inside her. The guy wonders if the girl's nervous, but she's pretty cool about it. To her, getting married is just business. It's all about politics, nothing more. The baby, not even born yet, catches bits of the man's doubt, wondering if he's really the dad. Meanwhile, his mom just seems to want more from the man, not even noticing what's going on inside her. The whole moment feels heavy, even though nobody says much out loud. All the noise and chaos around him was starting to throw him off. He could feel his energy slipping away, like he just couldn't focus right with everything going on. It was annoying, and honestly, he wished things would just chill for a bit so he could get back to normal. He couldn't hold back and ended up letting out a ton of energy all at once. She wasn't too happy about it and started to complain, saying it felt like it burned from the inside. By the time he's 6 months old, his power reaches what most people call peak D level. Around then, he also figures out what's different about his mom's health. The good-looking guy sits quietly, just watching everything around him. He looks calm, almost like nothing could bother him. He glances at the woman's belly, trying to guess when the baby will finally show up. The whole waiting game is starting to wear on him. Inside the womb, the main character wakes up and stares at his dad, his eyes filled with pure dislike. He looks at the guy in front of him, sizing him up. In his head, he can't help but think the guy's nothing but a dirty mutt. Back in his old life, the guy remembers being told about some seriously dangerous monsters. Brother's friend, hurt and struggling, signaled for him to leave right away. Even though the situation was intense, his friend wanted him to escape before things got worse. His friend goes down, clearly struggling, and calls out for help. But the young guy just stands there, watching, not stepping in. His friend got caught by a creepy monster right in front of him. He just stood there, frozen, watching everything go down. There was nothing he could do to stop it. The traitor grinned, looking totally pleased with himself, and told his guys to feed the beast. He wanted to use it to create the spirit core. The guy stands there with a sly grin, clearly enjoying himself as he watches the other person on the verge of losing. Right then, the guy spots a huge spike heading straight for him, looking like it's about to take him out. His old friend doesn't hold back at all and shoves a thick branch straight through him, hoisting him up off the ground. There's no hesitation, just cold action, and the pain hits hard as he's left hanging in the air. He stared down at the cut on his chest, not really believing what just happened. The pain from the wound wasn't even the worst part. It was the fact that someone he trusted had done this to him. He just stood there, trying to process how fast everything changed and feeling totally thrown off by the betrayal. The guy can't help but crack up when he sees his enemy down bad. He finds the whole thing pretty funny and just laughs to himself, not even trying to hide it. He made fun of him, acting like this was just what happened when someone thought they were tougher than they really were. The young guy gets tossed aside, feeling totally betrayed. He can't shake the thought that he was just used as bait for the monsters. The anger and confusion hit hard, and it stings to realize he might have been set up from the start. As he drifts away, the only thing on his mind is what's going to happen to his younger sisters. He thinks back to the moment he said goodbye to one of his friends, telling them he'd be back soon. The memory sticks with him, making him wonder if things would change if he'd known how long he'd actually be gone. Not long after, his younger self picks up a weapon and starts getting ready to head out on a mission. The door shut behind them, and the three girls hung out together, waiting for their brother to come back. The room felt a bit quieter now, and they glanced at each other, not sure what to do next. All they could do was hope he wouldn't take too long. The girls sat by the window, their eyes on the moon outside. They couldn't help thinking about their big brother and when he might come home. The night felt a little longer without him around. Way back in the Prem Sea, as just a tiny fetus, he could already feel this deep anger bubbling up inside him. Even though he was so small, he hated the person who tore him away from his sisters. He didn't forget that feeling, and deep down, he promised himself he'd get back at whoever did it. The unborn kid gets ready to swing at his dad, who's waiting just outside. Even before he's born, he's already showing some attitude, gearing up for a fight like he's got something to prove. The little guy swings, and his fist connects straight with the traitor's face. The traitor doesn't even see it coming. He's totally caught off guard. The hit knocks the guy off his feet, sending him flying backward. The mom just stands there, totally stunned by how hard the kick felt. The boy's dad suddenly drops to the ground, clutching himself in pain. He looks totally confused, not sure what just hit him. The woman starts getting annoyed, thinking how the kid is already causing trouble before even being born. The grandfather looked a bit uneasy, so he motioned for the nurse to go see what was going on in the room. Everyone could see that the young master was different from the rest. The staff knew his skills were way ahead of others his age, so they made sure he learned things faster than usual. His progress left people impressed, but honestly, it just felt natural with the kind of talent he had. She suddenly realized the baby was coming, and the mom was about to go into labor. It caught her off guard, and she started to panic a little, knowing things were about to get real. Before he got a second shot at life, the boy always hit a wall at peak DD level, no matter how hard he tried. Now, though, he could feel himself getting stronger, almost ready to break past that old limit. It was kind of wild to think about how much closer he was to something bigger than before. The mother was hurting a lot, barely able to handle the pain. She looked desperate and wanted someone to get the best delivery team there right away. When he hit his first month, the family decided to go all out and threw a big party. A bunch of big-name families from Southern showed up, each carrying gifts to welcome the new baby. At the party, the grandfather sits back and watches someone play the violin. He's got a maid standing next to him, keeping him company while the music fills the room. At the same time, the main character, just a month old, was chilling quietly in a maid's arms. Everyone at the party is celebrating, and someone gives Master Leo a nod for having a new grandson. But while the room feels upbeat, Master Leo looks like his mind is somewhere else, barely noticing the attention. The guest walked over and congratulated the boy's dad. Meanwhile, the baby just kept his eyes locked on the man. He remembered him from a different life, the one where that man had defeated him. He spots the enemy who tore him away from his sisters, and anger just hits him hard. In that moment, all he can think about is getting payback, and he knows he's not going to let this go. He thinks back to when his little sisters got super hyped over a huge birthday cake. Back in his previous life, he remembered being on the phone with brother. Was always giving him a hard time, especially when he ran late for missions. The young guy felt a bit awkward and said sorry, hoping he hadn't messed up. The trader watched him for a moment, thinking the only reason he brought this kid was because people were saying he needed the cash. The older guy tells him to think things through, and the younger guy feels grateful for getting the chance to work. His sisters sat around the table, eyes fixed on the tiny slice of cake in front of them. They looked excited, barely able to sit still, each one hoping they'd get a bite soon. The older brother waved goodbye to one of the guys, letting him know he had to head out for work but would be back before long. He picks up his weapon from the bag where he left it and gets ready to head out. The door shut behind him, leaving the three girls by themselves. They sat there a bit nervous, waiting for him to come back. The girls sat by the window, their eyes on the moon. They waited quietly, hoping their brother would come home soon. Somewhere deep in the woods, a guy walks up to this weird, glowing portal standing alone in the darkness. The guy with the cigarette is the same person who was giving young Master G props at the party earlier. Looked like he was in charge of this risky mission. Young Master G stood with his crew right behind him. Curious about how things were going, he checked in on the mission, wanting to make sure everything was on track. The man lets him know they've been stuck inside for quite a bit, so by now, the beast probably isn't hungry anymore. Young Master G looked at Old, and felt pretty impressed. He thought about how reliable and quick always was, and figured he must have been brought up right. He glanced over at the girl next to him, letting her know they showed up just for her. After that, he headed out. The woman just rolls her eyes, clearly not impressed. In her mind, he's just another guy from the G family, trying to work his way up and hoping someone will notice. The group of traders heads over to the portal, ready to get out of that empty, lonely place. At the same time, one of the guy's friends lets him know there's a really strong monster close by. The young master didn't expect to find anyone alive. He was actually kind of relieved, though, since he needed more food to make his medicine. Old feels confused, trying to figure out how any of this could happen. In his mind, everyone there was just a regular D-level soldier, nothing special. It honestly doesn't make sense to him at all. Out of nowhere, a loud noise breaks through the usual chatter. Instantly, everyone's heads turn, eyes glued to the spot where the sound came from. The leader of the group takes a good look at what's going on, his face set and focused. He doesn't mess around, scanning everything carefully, trying to figure out what they should do next. Everyone can tell he's locked in, thinking hard about the best move. Not long after, they notice that one of the beasts is limping, a new cut showing on its leg. The monster shoots a fierce look at the hero, who's just standing there by himself in the empty, lonely spot. The young guy was worn out and hurting, but he didn't back down. Even though he could barely stand, he got himself ready for the last fight, determined not to give up. Right then, one of the traders started walking over, taking his time. Young Master G wanted answers. He needed to know where that thing showed up from and why it went after his beast. There was a look in his eyes, the kind that said he wasn't just curious, he was ticked off. It wasn't every day something managed to hurt his creature, and he wasn't about to let it slide. When spotted the survivor, he was taken off guard. He recognized the guy as Yi, someone he didn't expect to see here. The young guy glances back at brother, confused about what's going on. Yi's buddy looked over, kind of surprised, wondering if he had called in backup or something. Meanwhile, the guys who were causing trouble earlier started running away, clearly not wanting to stick around. Back in the present, the baby feels a strong urge to get back at those who wronged him and his family. Even though he's just a kid, the weight of the past pushes him to stand up for what happened. Right then, he makes up his mind to do something about the old grudge, no matter how tough it might be. He holds out his arms and starts making goofy baby sounds at the traitor. The traitor just stares back, not looking away for a second, trying to figure out what he's up to. The guy stands there, totally lost for words. He fumbles around, trying to figure out what the baby expects from him. The boy's dad feels like there's nothing better in the world than having his son want to be close to him. For him, it's the best feeling ever, just knowing his kid trusts him enough to want a hug. It's one of those moments that makes being a dad totally worth it. He scoops up the baby, feeling a bit proud like he just finished a tough level in a game. The little kid starts fake crying, probably trying to get some extra attention. Inside, he's kind of amused, but he just goes along with it, happy for the small win. The moment the guy picks up the little one, a yellow energy starts to glow from him. He focuses for a second, and electricity starts to crackle around him. Suddenly, he sends a jolt of lightning straight at his enemy, hitting them hard and leaving them stunned. The traitor's whole body jolts as the shock hits him, pain shooting through every muscle. He can't control it, his face twisted up as the electricity surges, leaving him shaking and hurting all over. He's so shocked that he accidentally lets go of the baby, and the little one hits the floor of the mansion pretty hard. The girls hanging out at the party suddenly hear a loud noise. They all stop what they're doing and turn their heads, trying to figure out what just happened. The musicians froze, their instruments left hanging in the air. All the noise and chaos around them caught them off guard, and for a moment they just stood there, not sure what to do next. The boy's grandfather keeps an eye on everything, his face looking serious as he watches what's going on. The boy's parents just stood there, totally caught off guard by what had happened. Neither of them expected it, and for a moment they didn't know how to react. The kid was still on the floor, and the old man suddenly understood he'd messed up. The baby suddenly lets out a loud cry, making it seem like everything's normal and tricking everyone around. The traitor starts freaking out, his hands getting clammy as he realizes things are going south fast. Fear creeps in, and he can't help but think about all the worst-case scenarios. The grandfather's face turned red with anger when he saw the man drop the family's treasure on the floor. He couldn't believe someone would be so careless with something so important to his family. The moment felt tense, like everyone in the room was holding their breath, waiting to see what would happen next. The guy freaks out and drops to the floor, trying to blame everything on the young master. He keeps insisting he had nothing to do with it, hoping no one points the finger at him. The baby's dad just isn't buying what he's saying. Instead, he gets mad and kicks the guy pretty hard, treating him like he's nothing. The man takes a powerful kick and gets knocked off his feet, crashing down on the mansion floor with a heavy thud. He lowers his head and pleads, hoping his master will go easy on him. He promises to never hurt the kid and even hands over his own stuff, hoping it'll help the kid feel better after the fall. The kid's dad looks like he's having fun with everything going on. He just stands there with this smirk on his face, kind of teasing everyone without saying a word. The master gave the signal, and a couple of guys grabbed the man, dragging him out. Outside, they didn't waste any time. They made sure he got a solid beating. The traitor nodded in appreciation, clearly relieved after what just happened. Meanwhile, the maid quietly scooped the baby back into her arms, making sure everything was okay. The little guy rested in her arms, looking pretty pleased with himself. He shot a sly grin, clearly happy with how things turned out. The enemy, rubbing his bruised forehead, just stands there. He looks lost, trying to figure out what just went down. The little kid keeps wailing and crying as loud as he can, trying to make sure no one notices anything weird about him. He's putting on a show for everyone, hoping they all think he's just upset like any other kid. The old traitor just couldn't hold it together. His eyes started to water, and before he knew it, he was crying all over again. The whole thing hit him so hard, it was like he couldn't believe what was happening. The old man pointed at the maid, making it clear she should help the young master get inside and see if he was okay after that fall. The elder looked at his son, clearly annoyed. He made it obvious that with their family's reputation, they didn't have room for someone who couldn't pull their own weight. The head of the family gave an annoyed snort, clearly fed up with how things had turned out. Without looking back, he stormed out of the party, anger written all over his face. The whole situation had him seriously ticked off. The boy's dad gets really mad after hearing what the old man says. He grips his glass so tight, his knuckles turn white. He grabs the glass cup and crushes it in his hand, pieces falling everywhere. The host spun around and landed a solid kick straight to the traitor's face. He kicked the guy one more time, then told his crew to drag him out and throw him to the house dogs. The guards hold him tight while he tries to plead for a break, but nobody even looks his way. His fear and pain just get ignored as everyone focuses on their own business. The host gives a nod, letting everyone know the party isn't over. The baby looks around, quietly watching the crowd, already thinking about how to get even stronger. The doctor checked out the kid and could tell right away that he was in great shape. Everything looked good, and there was nothing to worry about. The grandfather couldn't help but laugh, feeling a wave of relief wash over him. Seeing his grandson safe and healthy made him happier than anything. All the worry disappeared, replaced by pure happiness as he celebrated that everything turned out okay. Right now, all that really matters to the boy is tracking down the 3 sisters he had to leave. He knew he had to mature quickly if he wanted to make a move and get closer to her. The baby suddenly starts to cry, looking hungry and reaching out, probably wanting some milk and hoping someone will bring the doctor over. The elder decided it was time for his daughter-in-law to come over. He wanted her to help feed him and bring more of that special medicine he needed. The boy's mom feels wiped out, even though she just finished feeding him. She can barely keep her eyes open, and it's like all her energy is already gone. She knew the family expected a lot from her. The pressure was always there, reminding her that she had to keep pushing forward, not just for herself, but for the whole clan and especially for her son. Every day felt like a challenge, but she kept going, determined to make things better for everyone depending on her. The woman shrugs off her coat, looking tired. She gets ready to feed the baby again, even though she clearly doesn't want to. The little guy starts to cry, his mouth wide open as he waits for his mom to feed him. His mom lifts him off the ground and looks right at him, her eyes red and tired. She begins feeding him, noticing right away that the kid is going at it with way more energy than she expected. It's almost like he's trying to win a prize, and she can't help but feel a little uncomfortable with how intense he is. The grandfather noticed his daughter-in-law looking pretty tired and worn out, so he told someone to go grab her some tonic soup. Not long after, the baby is hanging out with his mom in a hot spring, splashing around and enjoying the warm water together. She starts to get annoyed, thinking he's been hanging on way too long, like he's holding a grudge from forever ago. It's almost like she wonders if she did something to deserve this, maybe even in another life. 3 months passed, and now the baby was crawling all over the place, moving from room to room like he owned it. Somehow his power had grown so much, it was like he'd hit a whole new level, right up there with the ocean's strength. Back in his previous life, moving up from elementary D level to intermediate actually took him a whole year. Back in the day, he went on a bunch of risky missions inside portals. He got hurt a lot, taking hit after hit, but he always kept going. In just 3 months, he went from basic level C to intermediate, all because he started drinking milk regularly. At a family dinner, the youngest kid made his way across the floor, heading straight for the main table where everyone else was sitting. The grandfather got really mad when he noticed the young master running around by himself. He couldn't believe someone had messed up and wasn't keeping an eye on him. The whole thing annoyed him, and he just shook his head, frustrated at how careless people could be. The maid felt a bit embarrassed, trying to explain how the boy always managed to crawl away before she could catch him. She just couldn't keep up with how quick he was. The dad thinks his little boy probably wants milk again, and the mom just looks completely worn out. She's been feeling worn out lately, thinking about how the boy has been hanging around her nonstop for the past 3 months. It's starting to get to her, and all she really wants now is a little time for herself. The little guy feels like he can't just sit around. He keeps pushing himself, always trying to get stronger, like there's no time to waste. Nobody expected it, but the baby suddenly pushed himself up and stood on his own 2 feet for the first time. Both the grandfather and the butler just freeze, staring wide-eyed at what's right in front of them. They can't believe what they're seeing, and for a moment it feels like the whole room has gone silent. The boy heads over to his mom. She looks at him, kind of surprised, not really expecting him to come over. The little kid climbed right onto his mom while she was trying to eat. She looked exhausted and just wanted a quiet meal, but he wasn't having it. The maid couldn't believe what she was seeing. The young master, who usually needed help to get around, was now on his feet, walking across the room all on his own. She just stood there, totally surprised, trying to process how he was suddenly moving without anyone's help. The butler looks at the boy and can tell there's something special about him. The kid's got this rare, almost otherworldly vibe, and it's clear he's growing up way faster and stronger than most people his age. The grandfather feels a warm sense of pride as he watches his grandson standing on his own. It's one of those moments that makes him smile, seeing just how quickly the kid is growing up. He can't help but feel proud, knowing his grandson is taking those first steps and getting stronger every day. According to his family's rules, it was now the moment when the boy had to pick out his own servant. Somewhere in the shadows, the elder waited, wanting to know how things turned out. One of the guards spoke up, letting him know that only 2 people were still standing. The main guy gets carried by his mom to this makeshift arena, where everyone is waiting for the test to start. He keeps his eyes on everything, paying close attention, when suddenly he spots someone among the candidates that he actually knows. The realization hits him hard, and he's honestly pretty shocked. Inside a small cell, a young girl with white hair stands with her arms up, trying to protect herself. She looks scared, her eyes wide as she waits to see what might happen next. On the other side, a girl runs straight ahead, fired up and ready to take down her opponent in the arena. The baby looks totally confused, not sure why he's even there. Suddenly, his whole body starts to shine with a bright, powerful light. He focused for a second, and a sudden spark ran through his hand. With barely a pause, he sent a bolt of electricity at one of the girls caught up in the fight. The shock hits hard, sending the girl flying across the room. She crashes onto the ground and doesn't move, clearly out cold. The girl with white hair spots her chance and quickly climbs onto the bread. The girl doesn't waste a moment. She snatches the bread and digs in right there in the cell, eating fast like she hasn't had anything in a while. The protagonist saw his mom's hair sticking up everywhere, and his heart started racing. He felt a wave of panic and just hoped nobody else picked up on anything weird going on. The grandfather just laughs, looking at his grandson. He can tell the kid's got way more fight in him than his own son ever did. The boy figures out that being a kid actually has its perks. Whenever something goes wrong, the adults usually cover for him or let things slide. They come up with all sorts of reasons to explain away his mess-ups, so he doesn't get into real trouble. It's like having a built-in safety net just because he's young. The elder looked at the little girl and picked her to be the servant. He told the others to clean her up and make sure she learned what she needed to know. The little kid just keeps eating, totally focused on her food and not paying attention to anything else going on. The baby lying in the crib looks pretty cheerful, grinning as he reaches out for his new helper. He seems totally at ease, like he knows someone's there to take care of him, and he's actually enjoying the attention. While all this was going on, the butler let everyone know that she was actually a death servant. Her job was pretty simple. She had to keep the young master safe, no matter what. The little girl with white hair just gives a small nod, quietly going along with what's happening now. She doesn't say anything, just seems to accept that things have changed for her. While he was asleep, she was supposed to stick with the master and keep training in martial arts. The young maid heads over to the baby's room, ready to start her first day on the job. When the boy showed up, he got her attention. Feeling pumped, pointed at himself with a big grin on his face. The girl suddenly pulls out a knife, and the look on her face shifts. Now she just looks angry, like she's holding onto a lot of hate and wants payback. The baby freaks out, wanting to say something, but nothing comes out. His throat just won't let him make a sound. She decides she's going to deal with him right away, wanting to get back at him for what happened to her older brother. The girl lifts the weapon, her hands shaking a little. She stands over the crib, looking down at the little kid lying there, getting ready to strike. The servant rushed forward, gripping the knife tight, moving fast. He aimed straight for her, and she had no way to protect herself. The boy reacts fast, slipping away from the attack and hopping right out of the crib. He hits the ground, and for a second it looks like his outline is still hanging in the air. The girl wasn't expecting that at all. The baby suddenly popped up right next to her again. She just stood there, totally stunned and not sure what to do or say. Out of nowhere, a soft green glow started to surround the girl. It was clear she was getting ready for a fight. The main guy couldn't believe his eyes when he noticed the girl had a wind-type divine sense. It threw him off, and he felt a mix of surprise and confusion, trying to figure out how she ended up with something so rare. She goes for him, sending a burst of wind his way. The baby doesn't back down, though. He stands his ground and lets out a shock of lightning, blocking her attack. As the two bursts of energy hit each other, the whole room lights up. Bright colors fill every corner, making everything look wild and intense. He feels like trying to use both of his powers together is just way too much for his tiny body to handle right now. He suddenly comes up with a smart way to fix everything. The main character lifts his hand and aims, letting out just a tiny spark of his thunder divine sense. He keeps it on the lowest setting, not wanting to go all out yet. A quick flash of lightning zapped the girl. It was just a small hit, but the shock was enough to make her freeze for a second. For a second, the shock just freezes her in place. She drops to the floor, her body not really working right, like she can't even move. The kid looks like a weight. It's been lifted off his shoulders, but you can tell he's wiped out from trying so hard. The servant lay on the floor, her whole body buzzing from the shock. The electricity hadn't faded yet. It kept tingling through her, making it hard to move. He moves in slowly, reaching out and letting his fingers brush against the edge of the blade. The little guy purposely nicks his finger, and a small drop of blood forms at the tip. He wipes his hand across a fresh cut, and with his own blood, he starts scrawling a message right onto the floor, leaving it there for her to find. He feels pretty lucky that he's clever enough to figure out a way to talk to people. As soon as the girl reads the message, it all clicks for her. She finally gets what's going on. At that moment, the baby holds out his arms, looking for a hug, hoping for a little comfort. The girl goes after him again, not holding back. Meanwhile, the baby is just watching, realizing she still doesn't know how to read. He moves out of the way just in time, feeling a wave of worry hit him. If anyone saw her going after him like that, she'd be in serious trouble. While all this was going on, the trader made his way through the mansion. He carried a wooden box, gripping it tightly as he moved from room to room, eyes scanning the fancy hallways. In a flashback, the boy remembers a time with his dad. His dad made it clear that the only reason he kept the boy around was because he was still useful. That memory always stuck with the boy, leaving a heavy feeling in his chest. The guy lay on the floor, feeling both relieved and a little embarrassed. He appreciated that the young master had gone easy on him and made up his mind to step up his game from now on. The master explains that the grandfather is really mad, and now he has to figure out how to make the baby happy. He figured he gave up all his stuff just to score this rare item at the auction. Out of nowhere, he picks up on the little master's voice coming from the room. He can't help but get curious, trying to figure out what's going on in there. He pushes open the door and steps inside, looking around for the person from the family with the unique hair everyone talked about. As soon as he walks in, he sees the two of them running around the room, messing with each other and laughing like they're in their own little world. The baby spotted a chance and shot the man a serious look, already cooking up a plan in his head. The trader stands there looking totally lost, trying to make sense of what's going on around him. Nothing seems to add up, and he just can't figure out what's happening. The boy suddenly reached out and grabbed the servant's hand. Without hesitating, he twisted the knife around, his grip steady and determined. He taps into his lightning powers and sends a quick zap to the white-haired girl's forehead, just enough to get her attention. She flinches, surprised, and he can't help but feel a little amused at her reaction. She drops to the floor and the baby reaches up, grabbing the knife before it can hit the ground. Everything falls into place, just like the baby meant it to. The baby acts fast, pushing the knife into his own shoulder. Blood starts to cover the blade right away. The trader freezes, totally freaked out by what he's seeing. He can't even process it, it's like his brain just glitched. Fear takes over and he lets out a panicked scream, not ready to handle what's right in front of him. The boy, his hands still stained with blood, hurls the knife at the guy who's been watching him this whole time. He grabs the weapon out of the air and just stands there, frozen. He looks totally lost, not sure what he's supposed to do next. Fear's written all over his face. He was so surprised that the box slipped right out of his hands and hit the ground. The little guy stands there for a second, feeling his heart race. He draws in a slow breath, trying to calm his nerves, knowing everyone's watching and his moment is finally here. Not long after, he bursts into tears, crying loudly as he sits over the girl who passed out on the rug. The guy stands there with a bloody knife in his hand, looking totally lost and freaked out by everything that's just happened. As soon as they heard the noise, the grandfather and everyone else hurried over, trying to figure out what was going on. The elder and his son watched what was happening, both of them looking pretty serious. Neither of them smiled or said anything. You could just tell from their faces that this moment was a big deal. The little kid won't stop crying and sticks close to the servant, trying to make it seem like he was the one who kept her safe. The grandfather's anger was obvious. He locked eyes with the trader, his hand shooting out to point at him. Everyone could feel the tension as he made it clear that the guy had gone after his grandson. The guy drops the knife onto the floor, his hands going up as he tries to explain himself. He looks nervous, trying to make everyone see that it wasn't really his fault. The dad doesn't buy it at all. He just gets mad and throws a punch, furious that anyone would mess with his kid. He tries to make it clear that the girl went after the baby first, and all he did was protect himself. The baby kept on crying, not letting up for a second. Across the room, the trader looked totally desperate, clutching his nose as blood started to drip down. It was clear he was freaking out, probably not sure what to do next. He tries to convince the elder that he's not lying, but everyone around just looks at him like he's making it all up. No matter what he says, nobody buys his story. The boy's dad throws another punch, angry and demanding to know what happened to the gift. The guy starts searching all over the floor, hoping to find the gift he dropped. With everything going on, he's feeling a bit panicked, not wanting to lose it. He checks around his feet and glances under a nearby table, trying to spot it before anyone else notices. The grandfather notices what the little girl did for his grandson and looks genuinely grateful. He's impressed by her courage and wants to make sure she's okay, so he tells someone to help her get some rest. The elder rests his hand on the young master's shoulder. The young master stiffens a little, not really sure what to expect. The elder shoots him a hard look, eyes burning with a deep, angry red. He always claimed he taught his son everything about raising dogs, but deep down, he knew he almost messed up the one thing the family was counting on. The group heads out, not even looking back. Behind them, the traitor stays on his knees, shaking with fear. The guy suddenly feels sweat forming on his forehead, and his hands start shaking. He can't help but worry about what's coming next, and his nerves are getting the best of him. Out of nowhere, the baby's dad spins around and shoots him a nasty look, all cold and angry like he can't stand the sight of him. He kicked the guy hard, feeling annoyed that he'd given him a chance, but the dude still tried to mess with him. The guy tries to say something, hoping to clear things up, but the master doesn't give him a chance. Instead, the master just signals for his guards, and they grab the man, dragging him outside. Everyone knows what's coming next. The dogs are waiting, and it's not going to end well for him. The little guy watches as everything falls into place just like he hoped. Once he realizes his plan actually worked, he lets out a deep breath he didn't even know he was holding. Finally, he can relax, feeling a bit lighter now that it's all over. The kid clutched his shoulder, wincing at the pain, but his eyes stayed on the girl lying motionless on the ground. He couldn't help but worry, hoping she'd wake up soon. Right at that moment, the butler walked over, looking serious. He let everyone know that the servant was in bad shape and needed help fast. Without wasting any time, he got ready to take the servant away for treatment. He suddenly freaks out, realizing he left a message written on the floor right below where she's standing. The boy stretched out, covering the girl with his own body. He shook his head, trying to make it clear to the man that he wasn't about to let her get taken away. The staff member steps in and gently lifts the little master away from the girl, who's still knocked out on the ground. The butler gently set the boy back in his crib. The kid looked really upset, his face all scrunched up and worried. The guy sees the man reaching for the servant and starts thinking if he should just zap him to stop whatever's about to happen. Out of nowhere, he gets an idea and glances over at the maid, his mind already working on what to do next. The staff member carefully lifts the little girl off the floor. As he moves her, a dark, spreading stain of blood stays behind on the bedroom floor. The main guy can't believe it when he realizes the servant is actually hurt for real. The butler spots a bloodstain on the girl's clothes, and it really catches him off guard. He didn't expect to see something like that, and for a second he just stands there, stunned and unsure of what's going on. The little girl looks around, totally lost, trying to figure out what just happened. She can't wrap her head around how she ended up getting hurt, and nothing about the situation makes sense to her. He leads her outside and tells someone to get the young master's room cleaned up. The boy sits by himself in his room, finally able to breathe easy. Still, he can't help but feel a little confused, trying to figure out what's actually happening. He pushes it out of his mind, knowing he's got bigger things to deal with right now. He climbs out of the crib, already thinking about what he wants to do next. Inside the massage room, someone gets a bottle ready with a special oil just for his mom. The woman sits quietly while one of the housemaids gives her a gentle back massage. She looks more at ease as the tension in her shoulders starts to fade. The boy's mom looks pretty chill, just soaking in a quiet moment she doesn't get very often. The calm vibe doesn't last long. Out of nowhere, the kid starts fussing for milk, catching her off guard. He moves closer to her, and she seems annoyed, probably because he always shows up hungry. The boy starts eating, and his mom looks a bit annoyed, wondering how much longer he's going to keep it up. He really wants to grow up faster, just so he can finally talk and let his servant know what's going on. About a week later, days seem to blur together in the huge, stylish family mansion. Just like that, the main guy suddenly looks like a 3-year-old. He's finally figured out how to talk, too, so things are about to get interesting. The little servant girl with white hair was still shooting him a sharp look. She still thinks it's all his fault for what happened with her older brother. The kid looked over at Yi and suddenly revealed that he was actually her brother. Yi was stunned. She definitely hadn't seen that coming. She suddenly stops moving, and her eyes go bright red. He wanted to know if the cake her brother got was actually good, hoping it wasn't just for show. Hearing that question makes her think back to old times, and she starts to feel a wave of emotions coming over her. She remembers back when her brother used to call her and her sisters over whenever there was cake. The 3 girls light up as soon as they spot the birthday cake sitting in front of them. You can see the excitement on their faces. They're practically bouncing, barely able to sit still. It's like all their attention is locked on the cake, and for a moment nothing else matters. She thinks back to when her older brother used to grab the knife and hand out pieces of cake to her and her sisters. The girl remembers seeing him on his phone, looking serious as he got called up to join the team for a new mission. One of the sisters reached out, eyeing a piece and about to grab it, but her other sister caught her just in time. She shook her head, reminding her that they should wait for their brother before digging in. The 3 kids stood by the window, looking up at the moon. They waited quietly, hoping he'd come back soon. As he looked up at the full moon, he could almost see his old self staring back at him, like a memory he couldn't shake. He looked down at the water and saw the moon shining back at him. For a second, his old face mixed with his new, younger one, almost like he was seeing both versions of himself at the same time. He gives the little girl a soft smile, trying to hold back tears that start to fill his eyes. When she realizes it's actually him standing there, she just loses it. Tears start streaming down her face, and she can't stop herself from crying. She drops to the floor, tears streaming down her face as she breaks down completely. She can't hold it in anymore, and the crying just takes over, raw and messy. He quickly puts his hand over her mouth, making sure she stays quiet. He really doesn't want anyone to overhear what's going on between them. Their secret needs to stay hidden, at least for now. He covers the girls' mouths with his small hand, hoping their crying won't give them away. Right after that, she pulls him into a tight hug. She holds on with everything she's got, feeling a wave of relief and happiness wash over her. The little girl kept crying, her eyes red and puffy. She stared at the person in front of her, trying to figure out if it was really her brother, the one she cared about so much. Doubt and hope mixed together on her face as she waited for some kind of sign. The hug squeezes him so hard, he starts to feel like he can't catch his breath in his small body. She steps back and he stands there for a second, feeling a bit lightheaded and trying to steady himself. He takes a deep breath, still trying to get it together. After he starts feeling better, he gets quiet and focuses on his sister, wanting to know what's really going on. She keeps her eyes locked on him, tears rolling down her cheeks. He reaches out and holds on to her, wanting to know how she got here and what happened to their other sisters. The girl starts to feel stressed out because her brother is firing off questions way too fast. It's a lot to take in all at once, so she tells him to chill and take it slow. After a while, both of them start to chill out. The tension fades, and they know it's time to face what went down. They get ready to sort things out, even if it's going to be awkward. The girl begins to share what happened, saying that on that day he went out on a mission and just didn't return. The memory takes him back to when his three sisters sat together, their eyes fixed on the cake he'd brought home. They looked tired and hungry, waiting quietly for their chance to eat. The room felt tense, like everyone was hoping he'd hurry up so they could finally have a slice. One of the girls started to get a bit impatient, thinking about why their brother was still not back yet. The youngest kid starts to wonder if he's been left behind, since it's never taken this long for him to come back. He figured he should try to find him, so he headed over to the mission headquarters. That's where he learned the guy had gone missing. She spotted another hunter's wife, getting upset with the trader because her husband had gone missing. The guy, clearly out of patience, thought she was out of her mind. He pushed her away, not holding back at all. Another hunter walked up, looking annoyed. He pointed at the man and blamed him for heading into the portal with young Master and the rest of the group. Right then, the servant girl realized this guy was the reason for everything that had happened. The trader stands there, clearly annoyed, just watching everything go down. He doesn't seem bothered by the chaos around him. He just lights up a cigarette and takes a slow drag, acting like he's got all the time in the world. He gets fired up, ready to go after the guy who just called him out. A fireball shoots straight at the guy. He just stands there, too scared to move. He gets hit straight on, and fire covers him from head to toe. The man falls to the ground, completely worn out, while the other guy stands over him. While some people just stood around and watched everything happen, not getting involved, he let them know that sharing rumors about the kid wasn't cool. Calling the young master for this job wasn't the choice, especially since the mission was pretty risky. The guy figured the traitor deserved what he got for betraying the group. After that, he wanted to know what happened to the other girls. When someone brings up the others, the little one's face shifts right away. She starts to look pretty worried, like her mind's racing with all sorts of thoughts. She bursts into tears again, and her brother just stands there, not sure what he's supposed to do. He looks kind of lost, trying to figure out what's going on. He jumped a little when his sister reacted out of nowhere. Right away, worry hit him, and he started thinking about what could have happened to them. The girl, still crying, tries to make sense of everything. She really just wanted payback for what happened to her brother. But before she could do anything, a bunch of demons suddenly showed up, way more than she ever expected. Suddenly a memory hits, that moment when a massive portal tore open in the sky. Chaos broke out right away, and people started running in every direction just trying to get away. The invasion had started, and nobody knew what was coming next. She still gets freaked out just thinking about that wave of monsters. She runs down the broken streets, calling out for her other two sisters and hoping they'll answer. Her voice is shaky, and you can tell she's scared, but she doesn't stop searching. The city around her feels empty and messed up, but she keeps moving, not ready to give up on finding them. A couple of hunters walked past, looking pretty relaxed. They just nodded to each other, both thinking that this monster wave was one of the rougher ones they'd seen. She stands there by herself, just staring as the city goes up in flames, everything around her totally destroyed. She wipes her face, but the tears just keep coming. All around her, things are falling apart. People are shouting, stuff is breaking, and it's total chaos. She doesn't really have a plan. She just runs, trying to get away from everything, hoping to find a place where things feel normal again. She kept going by herself, walking slowly through the broken mess left behind after the city got attacked. Every step was careful, watching out for loose bricks and debris, but she didn't stop searching. The place felt empty and rough, but she pushed on, hoping to find something or someone in all the chaos. Her hands were covered in scrapes, stinging from the fall. She dropped to her knees, completely drained, the names of her sisters stuck in her head as she tried to call out for them. All that came out was a raw, desperate sound, echoing how lost she felt right then. She suddenly thinks about her brother and just loses it. Tears start streaming down her face as she sits there, trying to figure out where he might be. Everything hits her at once, and she can't help but cry, worried and missing him more than ever. Back in the present, the main character sat beside his sister. She was upset, but he tried to help her calm down, reminding her that things were different now. They'd been through a lot, but this time, it felt like they actually had another shot to make things right. He wanted her to feel better, so he did his best to reassure her, hoping she wouldn't cry anymore. His eyes suddenly glow red, and he makes up his mind right then that he's going to be the first one to pay for what just happened. Somewhere deep inside a rough, dirty prison, there's this hallway that looks like it's seen way too much. The walls and floor are all marked up with stains, making the place feel even more depressing. The traitor sat behind bars, yelling and making a scene. He kept insisting he hadn't done anything wrong, saying he'd only shown up to drop off a present. But nobody seemed interested in listening to his excuses. Suddenly he crashed right into the cell bars. His face went pale, and you could see he was freaked out, totally scared. Out of nowhere, a demon appears right behind the scared prisoner, making the whole situation even worse. The traitor falls to his knees, desperate and scared as the creature gets closer. Its tongue hangs out, making the whole thing even creepier. A scream echoes down the hallway, sharp and scared. In the next moment, the prison floor is marked with fresh red stains, leaving everyone tense and on edge. With the traitor gone, the main guy felt ready to shake things up. He knew it was finally his chance to mess with the whole family and set things right. His sister still had tears in her eyes, but she nodded, letting him know she was on board with whatever he needed. Right then, she suddenly remembers there's something important she needs to do with the main guy. She picks him up like it's nothing, making it clear that it's time for a bath. He's not having it, trying to wriggle out of her grip and reminding her that he's her brother, not some little kid. The girl let him know that from now on, she's basically his personal helper. Taking care of him every day is her main job now. She scoops him up and heads straight for the bathroom. He's freaking out the whole way, making it super clear he wants nothing to do with bath time. The scene shifts to the bathroom. The main character sits in a wash basin, looking a bit awkward but ready for what's next. She moves around, making sure everything is set up for his bath. The room feels quiet except for the sound of running water, and he just waits, trying not to make it any more embarrassing than it already is. She steps up to him, making it clear it's time for him to change. But the main guy isn't having it. He's pretty sure he can take care of his own clothes, no help needed. She ignores him completely, flashing a mischievous grin as she somehow makes his clothes disappear, almost like they got eaten up and vanished into thin air. She glances down and can't help but smile, totally amused by how small and adorable his little buddy is. RMC feels like he just wants to disappear. The whole situation is so awkward that it's eating him up inside, and he's stuck trying to play it cool even though he's totally embarrassed. He felt his face heat up with embarrassment and quickly turned away, trying to hide. He wanted her to stop looking at him, feeling more awkward than ever. Deep down, he just wished she'd realize how uncomfortable this whole situation was for him. Now that she's bigger, she figured it was finally her turn to help out. So she decided she'd be the one to give a bath this time. The main guy just stands there, completely thrown off, as he watches her start to pull off her own clothes. He can't believe what's happening and is left wondering what on earth she's up to. The boy puts his hands over his face, feeling super awkward and wishing he could disappear after what she just did. She steps into the bathroom and climbs into the tub, still wrapped up in her towel. The boy just stands there, completely caught off guard, not really sure where to look or what to do next. As she scrubbed his back, she couldn't help but think about how rough things were for most people. It bothered her, seeing so many struggling while the rich seemed to throw money away without a second thought. The unfairness of it all just weighed on her, even in that quiet moment. The main character's anger was obvious. He felt like if you wanted justice, you couldn't just wait around for someone else to handle it. In his mind, you had to step up and deal with things yourself. His face hardens, and you can tell he's made up his mind. He's ready to do whatever it takes to turn things around. Just a second later, the girl suddenly offers to help him wash up, which completely catches him off guard. He starts to freak out inside, his mind racing as he tries to figure out what to do next. The panic hits him hard, and he can feel his heart pounding. He turns her down, but she won't let it go. She keeps pushing, saying someone told her she had to. The two of them start arguing, neither really backing down. It's obvious neither wants to give in first. After his bath, the boy just sprawled out on the floor, still feeling warm and a bit lazy. His sister was nearby, tidying up and putting away his clothes, while he just lay there taking a break. Being the older brother usually means you're supposed to be in charge, but right now, he just feels embarrassed. It's like he's the little kid in the family instead, and that really gets to him. The girl could tell something was up with him. She tried to check in, but he just looked away, his cheeks puffed out like he was sulking. He didn't say a word, just kept quiet, making it obvious he wasn't in the mood to talk. She feels down because of the way he's acting toward her. It's not what she's used to. He's never treated her this harshly before, and it really bothers her. He just lets out a sigh, hoping it'll keep things from getting more awkward. He stands up, brushes himself off, and the anger on his face fades away. Something shifted. Now he looks serious, almost nervous, like he's about to bring up something that really matters to him. The girl flashes a warm smile, giving him the green light to ask whatever's on his mind. She seems totally chill about it, like she's up for anything he wants to know. He starts to wonder if his sister can control the wind now. Turns out she actually can, and his sister makes it clear. The main guy can't believe what he's just heard. Usually people don't get their powers until they're at least 12, so this is way earlier than anyone expected. It's actually kind of shocking, and he's just stuck there, trying to process how wild this is. He can't help but think about how she did it. She's so young and never even trained, but somehow she pulled it off. It's honestly kind of unbelievable. She just shook her head, looking kind of confused, like she didn't really know how it all went down either. A panel suddenly appeared in front of her, showing her all kinds of stats. It seemed to be guiding her, pushing her to unlock her own power. She took it in, trying to figure out what it all meant and what she was supposed to do next. The main guy couldn't believe it when he heard her actually say panel. It totally caught him off guard, like he never expected her to know about that stuff. For a second he just stood there, surprised and a little bit impressed. Right then he thinks about his own system, the one that shows him all his thunder powers. He looks over at the screen, checking out the interface. He can't help but wonder if her chat box works the same way. He starts wondering how his little sister managed to get a panel and unlock her powers at such a young age. She sees that he's kind of spaced out, clearly not paying attention. She gets a little concerned and tries to check if he's okay, but he just shrugs it off, acting like nothing's up. Now that she had unlocked her power, he let her know it was time to get serious. If she wanted to get stronger, she'd have to start training, no more slacking off. The little girl's eyes narrowed with focus. She made up her mind to start training harder than ever, ready to give it her all from now on. He gives her a quick pat on the head, thinking about how she's always been the one who handled things best out of all the sisters. All of a sudden, someone knocks on their bedroom door. Both of them stop what they're doing and go completely still. A maid came in to let everyone know that dinner was ready. She also mentioned that the master had asked their mom to get some milk ready for him. She gives the baby bottle to the main character's sister. The sister just looks at it, kind of shocked, like she wasn't expecting it at all. She grabs the bottle while the main guy heads her way, already thinking up what he's going to do next. He thinks the family should throw everything they've got into getting stronger, and they need to do it quickly. The girl wonders how they're supposed to pull it off, since she's already giving it her all in training just to get stronger. He flashed a playful grin and motioned for her to open her mouth, acting like he was about to reveal some big secret about getting stronger. Even though she feels a bit unsure, the girl slowly opens her mouth, wanting to see what her brother is doing. Curiosity gets the better of her, and she can't help but watch, wondering what's going to happen next. He grabs the bottle and gently puts it to her lips, waiting to see if she'll take a sip and curious about what's going to happen next. She picks up the glass and starts drinking the milk, with the MC keeping a close eye on her the whole time. Out of nowhere, a purple glow starts spinning around her. She feels it right away and can't believe what's happening. She looks at her brother, totally lost, wondering why all this power is rushing into her like it's nothing. RMC tells the others that their mom's body works in a special way. Whenever she comes into contact with crystals, they basically turn into energy inside her. Getting his hands on that stuff wasn't easy. Even the best squads out there would struggle to find it when they're out on a mission. Their mom, though, never seemed to run out. She could just keep making this essence all the time, like she had an unlimited supply of energy. His sister couldn't believe what just happened. Stuff like this never happened at their academy, so she was honestly surprised. RMC starts to notice something off about the noble families. He thinks they're keeping secrets and using regular people as pawns, making them fight their battles while they stay safe behind the scenes. It bugs him, seeing how easily the crowd is influenced, and he can't help but wonder what the nobles are really up to. He stared ahead, not backing down, already set on finding out all the secrets that were still hidden. His sister handed him the bottle and nudged him to take a sip, hoping it would help him get stronger too. He shakes his head and signals for her to keep going, wanting her to push herself all the way and reach her max before he steps in. He turns and heads off, already focused on what he needs to do next. He decides it's time to grab something to eat, leaving his sister still sipping from her bottle. He walked back to his mom's room, and the maids couldn't help but notice he was there again. They looked a little confused, probably wondering what brought him back this time. The boy sat by the edge of the pool at home, leaning close to his mom as she fed him. The water shimmered around them, and everything felt calm and quiet in that moment. The woman felt like she'd already given a ton of milk, but the kid just kept drinking nonstop. It seemed like no matter how much she gave, he was always hungry for more. One of the maids jumped into action, telling the others to get more healthy food ready for the madame. The main guy knows this is the moment everything changes. He feels a rush. Revenge is finally kicking off. With his sister by his side, he's ready to shake things up, like they're about to mess with the rules everyone else follows. It's a big move, and he can sense that nothing's going to be the same after this. Lightning lit up the sky above the mansion, making everything look even more intense. In that moment, he felt a surge of determination. Deep down, he made up his mind. He was going to shake up the family, no matter what it took. He's down on his hands and knees, moving slowly across his messy bedroom floor. His eyes are locked in, totally focused, like he's on a mission. He's searching for something important, and nothing's going to distract him right now. At the same time, there's a flashback showing the traitor totally losing it. He's panicking, searching everywhere for the gift, hands shaking and eyes wide. He can't believe it's gone, and the stress is written all over his face as he desperately tries to remember where he last had it. The main guy crouched down and glanced under the furniture. That's when he noticed a small box tucked just out of sight, the same one the traitor had accidentally left behind. He picks up the gift, a small smirk on his face. He's pretty sure whatever's inside is something the family cares about a lot. He opens up the box, and right away, a bright blue light shines on his small face. He steps inside and spots a big blue crystal sitting there. It catches his eye, and he starts to wonder if it might be one of those magic beast crystals he's heard about. Right after that, a system panel shows up in front of him. It tells him what he just got. Turns out, it's a rare skill crystal with the thunder element. RMC stood there, feeling totally lost. He always thought you had to work hard and train to get new skills, so hearing that you could just absorb them was a shock. This was way different from what he'd always believed, and honestly it left him questioning what else he didn't know. After taking down some of those evolved beasts, there's a shot at scoring some rare items. The system breaks it down, making it pretty clear that these drops don't happen every time, but if luck's on your side, you might just walk away with something cool. The kid couldn't believe something like this was real. It totally caught him off guard. But then, a weird feeling crept in. He started to wonder how the voice could possibly know what he was thinking. Suspicion flashed across his face as he tried to figure out what was really going on. Right then he freezes up, eyes wide and face pale. Panic hits him hard as it suddenly clicks what just went down. He hears a voice in his head claiming to be inside his mind. He rolls his eyes, not buying it for a second. He's read enough stories to recognize this kind of thing and isn't impressed. He thinks back to his old life, when he was just a regular student who couldn't get enough of video games and web novels with cool leveling up systems. In those stories, the main guys usually end up winning big. They get what they want and manage to pay back the people who messed with them. Everything kind of flips in their favor and they come out on top. He gets really mad and starts shouting about how useless the system is. But the voice isn't having it. It reminds him that if it wasn't for the system, he wouldn't even be here, living this new life. The main character stops for a second, running everything through his head. He can't ignore it. What that strange voice just said actually makes sense. He stood there with his arms crossed, thinking about how this might be linked to his little sister's setup. The voice in his head doesn't admit to any connection and just pushes him to level up, and to do it quickly. He nods and starts paying attention, realizing he has to make the most of every chance that comes his way. He plops down on the floor, eyes locked on the crystal. Focusing hard, he starts to take in its energy, feeling it buzz through him. Suddenly, something intense and almost magical rushes through his small body. It feels like a wave of energy, bigger and stronger than anything he's ever felt before. A second later, he reaches out his hand and a streak of electricity forms, shaping into his new skill, a lightning spear. He couldn't believe it. Somehow he just picked up a skill that usually takes years, like a whole decade, to actually get good at. It was wild and he barely knew how to process it. He grips the spear and can sense the power packed inside it. He starts to think about how strong it might actually be, feeling a mix of excitement and curiosity. He grabs the weapon and throws it as hard as he can, wanting to see what his new power can really do. He stands back and watches his electric attack shoot across the air, crackling with energy. The explosion grabs the grandfather's attention right away. He hurries over with the butler, both of them trying to figure out what just went down. When they get there, they just see the boy's dad standing around in his boxers, looking kind of annoyed as he talks to the main character's mom about how loud everything is. The grandfather and the main character's little sister just stand there, totally stunned by what they're seeing. It's like their brains need a second to catch up, and for a moment they can't even react. The boy stared at the massive hole in the mansion wall, surprised by what he'd just done with his new power. The grandfather was really mad and wanted to find out who was responsible. The butler, looking a bit nervous, told him that he'd heard a loud crack of lightning coming from the room. When the old man spots his grandson, everything changes. He can't help but smile and picks the kid up, feeling proud of the new skill his grandson just showed off. He looks over at the boy's mom and gives her a nod, clearly grateful for everything she does for the family. He appreciates how she always finds a way to keep things running smoothly at home. The boy's dad wasn't having a great time. He looked annoyed, probably because of all the noise his son made. It was clear the whole thing was getting on his nerves. The grandfather wasn't having it. He got serious, telling him he ought to be proud of his son's amazing skills. The grandfather thinks it's time to bring his grandson along to the family's yearly hunting festival. The family head glanced over at the butler, wanting to make sure everything for the event was set. He didn't say much, just gave a look that said he trusted his staff to have it all under control. The butler nodded back, already on top of things, making sure nothing would go wrong. The old man let out a laugh, thinking to himself that his grandkids and their kids needed to understand what they were really worth, and it was best they started learning that early on. The main guy sits in his mom's arms, looking pretty annoyed. He has no clue what the adults are up to, and it's starting to get on his nerves. The group heads down a long hallway, making their way to where the hunting festival is happening. When they got there, the grandfather focused and used his strength to open a huge round gate right in front of them. The gate slowly swung open, and behind it was this huge, swirling vortex filled with bright purple energy. Everyone stared, caught off guard by the wild sight. The family head stood in front of the portal, getting ready to take everyone through. There was a bit of tension in the air, but he looked steady and sure, like he'd done this before. The group gathered behind him, waiting for his signal before stepping into whatever was waiting on the other side. The main guy just freezes for a second. It hits him that the family can actually open up portals to other worlds on their own. He didn't see that coming at all. Every time he thought about how the people in power kept so many secrets from everyone else, it made his blood boil. It just didn't seem fair, especially when most folks were just trying to get by. The whole thing felt messed up, like the game was rigged and only a few got to know the real rules. The group heads into the portal and ends up in a thick, silent forest. Trees crowd around them, and everything feels calm but a little tense, like the world is holding its breath. While his grandpa seemed pretty impressed with him, his mom just shook her head and pointed out how he was always eating, barely taking a break the whole day. Out of nowhere, the main character's dad noticed something in the sky. He quickly got everyone's attention, trying to warn them that something was coming their way. All eyes turn upward as a trail of smoke rushes toward them, moving in fast. Something weird darts between the trees, moving way faster than anyone could run. Out of nowhere, this huge serpent with several heads showed up and went straight for a bunch of hunters. It didn't hold back, lashing out at them with wild force. The hunters barely had time to react as the monster crashed into their group, leaving chaos in its wake. One hunter steps up and swings at the creature, but his weapon snaps in half like it's nothing. Another guy quickly throws up a force field around himself, bracing for whatever comes next. He spots a regular python, which is ranked C, slithering around inside the portal. Not far from it, there's a much bigger python, the Python King, ranked B, looking way more dangerous. Both of them are hanging out in this C-rank portal, which is kind of wild. The main guy and his sister just freeze, totally stunned. The girl's eyes go wide as she spots one of the hunters, someone she actually knows. One of the snakes suddenly shot forward, aiming straight at one of the girls in the hunting group. Nobody really expected it, but the red-haired girl somehow kept the creature's mouth wide open using just her hands. She's doing everything she can to dodge the giant monster's teeth, fighting hard not to get bitten. The serpent is just way too strong. With one hit, it sends her flying back like she never even stood a chance. The leader of the hunters quickly signals for everyone to keep fighting while they start pulling back from the dangerous spot. The team knows they can't stay there any longer, so they try to hold their ground as they move away, keeping an eye out for any threats around them. The leader steps up, holding his shield out to block the monster's attack. While he's focused on defending everyone, another hunter sneaks up from behind, ready to strike at him instead. The girl with bright red hair takes off running, her face full of panic as she tries to warn him. She's yelling, hoping he'll notice the danger coming his way. The hunter swings his fist, not slowing down even a bit as it smashes right through the captain's shield and lands hard, knocking the captain back with all its power. The punch hits so hard that the hunter drops his shield while he's fighting the serpent. Just then a flash of purple lightning shoots through the air and hits the giant serpent. It turns out, the thunder wasn't just random. Another hunter had jumped into the fight, and his attack landed right on target. The serpent's scales crackled where the lightning struck, making everyone stop and stare for a second. One of the hunters got really mad at the traitor for going after their captain. The traitor flashes a sneaky grin as he gets ready to go after the other guy. He goes in hard, landing a brutal hit on the hunter. The hunter crumples, badly hurt and struggling to get back up. One of the other hunters freezes for a second, totally thrown off. He's pretty sure he knows who the attacker is, and it hits him hard. He lets everyone know that the guy is someone who's already been in trouble with the law before. Sheng couldn't help himself. He started cracking up when he saw how desperate the hunter looked. The whole situation just hit him as hilarious, and he laughed harder than he had in a while. He steps forward and kicks the guy hard, knocking him back across the room. The wounded hunter flies straight into the waiting jaws of the huge serpent. It's like the beast was just sitting there, ready for him, and the hunter doesn't even have time to react before he's caught. The kid just stands there watching everything unfold, his face serious and a little tense. He thinks back to his past life, remembering the moment when Sheng pushed one of their friends into real danger. Blood splattered across the scene, showing exactly what had just gone down. Back then, he saw his friends go down one after another. The guys watched as the monster they'd been feeding with their own friends finally showed up. It was massive and scary, way worse than they expected. The main character's dad smirked, looking kind of cold, and told them to feed the creature. He seemed to think it would help create some sort of treasure. Without hesitating, he signals to go after the hero's younger self. The henchman charges at the guy, winding up to hit him. The guy gets ready, turning on his power as he prepares himself for the fight that's about to go down. He knows a big showdown with his enemy is coming, and he's not backing away. Ice Fisk moved closer, his whole body giving off this intense energy. It was almost like he was surrounded by a strange kind of light, and anyone nearby could feel just how strong he was. Both of their fists smashed together with a heavy hit, the kind that makes you feel it all the way up your arm. Everyone knows has a reputation for being pretty ruthless. He doesn't just beat people, he actually seems to enjoy it, almost like it's his thing. Guys around here talk about how he acts more like a monster than a normal person, especially when he's putting others down. Turns out he's been under the family's protection this whole time. Now, he's basically working for them, doing whatever they need him to do. Back in the present, his sister starts thinking about the red-haired girl. She can't help but worry about what they should do to help her. The whole situation feels complicated, and she's not sure how they'll figure it out. The main guy starts to get that look in his eyes, like he just figured something out. You can tell he's already working out a plan in his head, and he's got this quiet confidence about him. He just shrugs and goes back to eating, which really annoys his mom. The MC grabbed his milk and started chugging, puffing out his cheeks until he looked pretty ridiculous. She looked over, totally confused, trying to figure out what he was even doing. He blurts out everything he's been holding in, and she just stands there totally stunned. She gets totally grossed out and starts yelling at the guy for making a mess. Without warning, she just launches him into the air, not caring where he lands. The boy's grandpa notices all the chaos going on, and his face tightens up with anger. He's clearly ticked off by the whole situation. Right after the main character's little sister jumps in, things start moving fast. Right as he's about to hit the ground, she swoops in and grabs him, stopping his fall just in time. The girl touches down gently, making sure her little brother is safe in her arms. She keeps a close hold on him, not letting anything happen as they reach the ground together. She looks over at her brother, worried, wanting to know if he's all right. He starts telling her about his big idea he's planning to make, hoping it'll help save the hunter. Out of nowhere, the guy's dad hits his mom across the face. She just stands there, totally shocked, unable to react. He holds her arm tightly and lets her know he's upset about how she handled their son. The woman's face twisted with anger. Nobody, not even her own parents, had ever touched her like that, and the thought made her even madder. She calls up an ice weapon and charges straight at her husband, wanting to get back at him. The guy stands his ground, using his powers to hold his own. Deep down, he figures she's gotten a little too bold and thinks it's about time someone puts her in her place. The guys stand there, eyes glued to the action happening just a few steps away. No one says a word, They're all caught up in the fight, barely blinking as they watch everything go down. The mom and dad go head-to-head, both showing what they can do. Out of nowhere, a flash of energy pops up right between them. The boy's grandfather walks in, and the main character's parents just stand there, watching him in silence. The grandfather thinks a mom should always put her kid first, not just do things without thinking. He believes she needs to take care of her son before anything else. He shoots them an angry look, making it clear that both of them have to step up and take care of their families. The couple takes a deep breath and puts away their weapons, finally starting to relax. Off to the side, the kids watch everything from a safe distance, still a bit unsure about what just happened. The main character's sister looked at him, clearly unsure about what would happen next. Even though things felt uncertain, he tried to reassure her, acting calm and confident. Deep down, he believed that help was already on the way, so he didn't seem too stressed about the situation. Out of nowhere, the young maid picked up on a weird sound. The butler let the grandfather know he'd noticed something moving around in the woods nearby. The family spots something moving closer, and everyone instantly tenses up, ready for whatever might happen next. Right then, 3 goblins came out of the trees, looking super confused and a little freaked out. From above, it's easy to spot the goblins moving in, slowly surrounding the main character's family. The tension builds as they get closer, everyone's nerves on edge as they realize just how outnumbered they are. The creatures let out loud, desperate screams, sounding like they're getting ready to fight. Out of nowhere, 3 monsters suddenly get nailed by wooden stakes, each one driven straight through them without any mercy. The main character's dad just stands there, confused. He can't figure out how this even happened, since he thought the whole place was already checked out and safe. Grandpa shakes his head, not looking too happy. He can't help but think this is what you get when someone spends more time messing around in bars than studying. Out of nowhere, a purple light began to shine around the boy's mom. The glow wasn't bright enough to hurt anyone's eyes, but it definitely grabbed everyone's attention. It was like she was suddenly surrounded by this weird, shimmering energy, making the whole room feel different. The boy could tell something strange was happening, and he couldn't look away. The little sister lets him know that their mom naturally draws in demonic beasts, and it's even worse with the stronger ones. The group hears a bunch of goblin footsteps getting louder, and everyone starts to feel tense. Out of nowhere, a bunch of top-tier goblins showed up in front of them. Leading the group was a beering goblin, clearly the boss. A monster suddenly jumps at the family, swinging its axe like it's out for blood. The grandfather doesn't even flinch. He just gives a look to his guys, and they move fast to take care of things right away. The family jumps right into action, taking on the monsters with their cool elemental powers. Each person uses their own strength, working together to push back against the creatures. It's intense, but they don't hesitate. They know what they have to do. With everything around them getting crazier by the second, the main guy figured it was the perfect moment to make a move. He let his sister know it was time to leave, and together, they started looking for a way out of the mess. The girl holds her little brother close and dashes toward the edge of a cliff. Her heart pounds, but she doesn't slow down. She keeps her grip tight, making sure he's safe as the ground drops away in front of them. The main character's sister doesn't even hesitate. She just leaps off the edge, dropping fast alongside her younger brother. Both of them are falling together, the wind rushing past as they head straight down. Right then, the girl's eyes light up, shining bright as she kicks her special power into gear. She lifts her brother off the ground and takes to the sky, the wind swirling around them. With her power, she glides above the rooftops, holding him close as they move quickly away from danger. The MC was pretty surprised when he saw her flying. He wondered when she picked up that skill. She just let him know that it was something she got as a reward, thanks to the system. The main guy didn't see that coming at all. Hearing the news caught him off guard, and he started to feel a little awkward. He really wanted to know what kind of job it actually was, curiosity all over his face. The girl smiled, letting her brother know that all the system wanted was for him to take a bath. The scene jumps back to an earlier moment. After she finished the mission, she got a special flight technique as her reward, something not many people get. The main guy feels a bit annoyed, thinking it's weird how the system just handed out such a cool reward for doing something so simple. It doesn't really add up for him, and he can't help but question how things work around here. The main character's little sister, with her bright red hair, stands her ground against a huge serpent. She doesn't back down, swinging her sword and landing solid hits. Even though the snake looks pretty scary, she keeps pushing forward, determined to take it down. Another massive snake suddenly showed up and went straight for the other hunters. Their shields didn't stand a chance. It smashed right through them like it was nothing. The creature swung hard, and one of the hunters got knocked back, her defense totally shattered. On the ground, the woman looked exhausted as she tried to get her captain's attention. She was clearly worn out, feeling like they couldn't keep this up much longer. The stress showed on her face, and anyone watching could tell she was reaching her limit. The captain of the group steps up and faces, wanting to know what's going on and why he is coming at them so aggressively. Everyone can feel the tension as the captain tries to figure out's reason for acting this way. The traitor grinned, looking pretty pleased with himself. He seemed to get a kick out of hearing people scream, almost like it was some messed-up hobby of his. The leader wanted to know who the guy's boss was. He made it clear that breaking the guild's rules was a serious deal and definitely not allowed. The villain just shrugs, making it clear he thinks rules don't matter to him. He acts like laws are just for regular people, not someone like him, and he honestly doesn't even care. He charges straight at the captain, moving fast, his fist pulled back and ready to strike. Instead of going for his main target, he suddenly turns and charges at one of the female hunters. She doesn't even see it coming. He's just way too fast for her to react. The woman, totally worn out and without any options left, turns to her captain, hoping he'll step in and help her out of this mess with a cold guy standing over her. She's desperate, looking for someone to save her from this situation that feels way too harsh. The traitor doesn't hesitate. He just grabs her and throws her straight into the giant serpent's mouth, like he's feeding it a snack. In front of everyone, the giant snake swallows the hunter whole, not even hesitating. No one can believe how fast it happens. The hunter's just gone, and the serpent doesn't seem to care at all. The captain felt completely defeated. He knew the mission was over, and there was no way to fix it. Panic hit him hard, and he just wanted everyone to get out as fast as they could. The only thing left to do was run and try to make it out alive. The red-haired girl stands frozen, her eyes wide as she tries to process what just happened. Fear and shock stop her in her tracks, and for a moment she can't move or even think straight after seeing something so terrifying. The group leader, completely losing his cool, rushes at the traitor with his sword raised. He's got that look in his eyes, full of anger, like he's not thinking about anything except getting payback. Everyone can tell he's dead set on ending this right now. He goes for a strong hit, putting everything he's got into it. But the villain doesn't even break a sweat. He just steps aside, dodging like it's nothing. Out of nowhere, the traitor strikes back, catching the captain off guard and landing a solid hit right on him. When she saw her leader hurt, the young woman got fired up. She glared at the guy who did it, thinking he was some kind of monster, and started getting ready to take him on herself. She grabs whatever's close and hurls it at the enemy, hoping to slow them down just for a moment. The traitor barely reacts when the rock hits him. The girl's throw just bounces off like it's nothing. He stands there unfazed, not even bothering to look her way. The punch lands hard, tearing a chunk out of the traitor's shirt. The villain steps forward, looking at the group with a cold stare. He acts like he's almost disappointed to see them here, but there's no doubt he's dangerous. The way he sizes them up, it's obvious he doesn't think they stand a chance. The air feels heavy, and the group can sense that things are about to get bad. He jumps at the girl, his claws out and ready. Shaking with fear, the young woman stands in the middle of broken sword pieces, scattered all around her. Right when things seemed hopeless, the captain moved fast, putting himself between her and the danger. He took the hit instead, saving her at the last possible moment. The leader drops to the ground, not moving at all, while the traitor doesn't even look back. He just keeps walking, leaving the whole mess behind like it doesn't bother him. The traitor grabbed the captain's body and threw it toward the giant serpent. Without hesitation, the massive creature swallowed the captain, leaving nothing behind. The girl's heart was pounding as she took in the scene in front of her. Fear hit her all at once, making her freeze for a second before she let out a loud scream. She couldn't believe what she was seeing. Everything felt unreal, like something out of a nightmare she couldn't wake up from. The giant serpent grabbed the captain and started swallowing him whole. Purple lightning crackled all over the serpent's body, lighting up the scene in quick flashes. The villain stared at the girl for a moment, almost like he was disappointed. He seemed to think it was too bad things turned out this way, since he'd actually hoped she would be part of his group. He thought about adding her to his collection, almost like showing off a new prize. His hand, marked with blood, tightens as he gets ready to go after the girl. The villain reached out and put his hand on her face, while she broke down in tears, looking totally hopeless. In her last moments, the girl thinks about her siblings, hoping they're somewhere safe. She feels a mix of worry and sadness, wishing she could see them one more time. Out of nowhere, a huge sword made of lightning shows up. At the same time, someone steps in, letting everyone know they're here to help her out. The traitor quickly spins around and raises his arm just in time, stopping the heavy hit from landing on him. The hero's attack hits with a flash of yellow light, but the villain barely notices. He brushes it off like it's nothing, not even fazed. The young woman glanced up, clearly caught off guard. She recognized her sister, Wei Yi, and the surprise showed on her face. At that moment, the main guy and his sister dropped down to the ground. Both of them looked fired up, getting set for whatever fight was coming their way. The girl spots the main character, and right away, she remembers how he used to look. She calls out to him, treating him like her older brother. The main guy lets his sister know that explanations can wait. For now, they've got way more important things to deal with. The red-haired girl just stood there, watching him with a confused look, like she couldn't figure out what was even going on. The hero stood in front of the serpent, noticing right away that something was different. The creature had changed, getting stronger after eating awakeners. No one had ever seen anything like this before, and it definitely wasn't in any record or report. At the same time, the villain seems to be shaking off whatever was holding him back. Bright yellow energy starts swirling all around him, making it look like he's about to do something big. He digs deep and uses everything he's got, breaking through whatever was stopping him in just a second. The bad guy shot them a dirty look and let out a low laugh, clearly annoyed. He recognized the young master and the girl with him, sizing them up like he didn't think much of them. The three siblings stood side by side, staring down their opponent. They could feel the tension in the air, each of them getting ready for the fight that was about to start. None of them said a word, they just knew what had to be done. The redhead stood there, looking completely lost. She couldn't figure out how these people even knew who she was, and seeing them show up with the other little girl just made everything more confusing for her. The villain doesn't bother answering her. Instead, he's already thinking about what to do next, trying to figure out a way to deal with this unexpected problem. The main guy starts to figure out that his enemy isn't just some clueless dude. Turns out, this guy's actually pretty smart and knows what he's doing. The man finally lets his plan slip. He wants to mess with the servant girl's mind until she's just a puppet, totally under his control. After that, he plans to hand over the main character to his boss, like he's just finishing off some job. After the fight, the damage left behind by the villain's power was obvious. Several hunters were already down, knocked out cold, and showing just how ruthless this guy could be. No one was spared, he didn't hold back at all. Red glowing weapons floated in the air above the hunters, who had already been taken down. It turned out the enemy had this metal power, which let him combine weapons with his own body. The main guy takes a moment to size up his own strength compared to his opponent. As he thinks it over, it hits him just how huge the difference really is. He's way outmatched. Right then, something clicks in his head, and his face lights up. He suddenly looks way more interested, like he just thought of something clever. He looked at his sisters, making sure he had their attention. He wanted them to pay close attention and stick with whatever he was about to do. On the other side, the enemy starts gearing up for a fight. There's this weird vibe coming off him, almost like you can feel something intense in the air. The villain moves quick, barely giving anyone time to react. His claws flash as he goes right for the main character, aiming to take him out before he can even think. His sisters spot the danger and quickly move out of the way. He gets ready to fight back, staying alert for whatever's coming next. He calls up his divine lightning, type awakening, and suddenly, a huge surge of yellow energy bursts out around him. The main guy moves faster than anyone can see, weaving around the villain's strikes like it's nothing. Every time the enemy tries to land a hit, he's already out of the way, using his power to stay one step ahead. It almost looks like he's glitching with how quick he disappears and pops up somewhere else, making the villain look slow in comparison. The villain freezes when he spots the kid's move. He knows exactly what it is, a technique nobody's supposed to use. For a second, he just stands there, stunned, not believing what he's seeing. He suddenly thinks back to a time when he beat someone who used that same move. He remembers the big fight he had with the main character's past self. The memory sticks with him, like a highlight reel he can't forget. As he pieced things together, it hit him who the kid really was. The whole thing was just too wild, and he couldn't help but laugh at how random life could be sometimes. The main character's kid is already feeling worn out. Even though he tried to keep up, his body just doesn't have the energy for it, so he starts to slow down and can't keep going much longer. He realizes this is his only chance, so he calls out to his sisters to get the real plan started. The villain suddenly catches a noise from behind. He quickly turns his head, trying to spot where it came from. Out of nowhere, the red-haired sister shows up, carrying this massive boulder like it's nothing. She looks determined, all set to take down the enemy with it. The girl doesn't hesitate. She grabs the huge rock and chucks it straight at the villain. The enemy moves out of the way like it's nothing, and the boulder just smashes into pieces when it hits the ground. He catches a strange noise and spots a streak of green energy zipping across the floor. The guy tenses up as soon as he notices something strange heading his way. He stays sharp, not sure what's about to happen, but he's ready for whatever comes next. Out of nowhere, a massive blast of wind and dust whipped up right in front of him. Turns out the person causing all this trouble is the other sister. She's the one with the wind powers, and she's using them to pull off this attack. Even with the tornado swirling all around, the enemy just stands there, totally chill. It's like he's not impressed at all, barely reacting, as if this chaos is nothing but some lame move he's seen 100 times before. With everyone distracted, the main guy locks in and gathers all his energy. He forms a solid lightning spear, putting everything he's got into it. He gathers up all the energy he's got left and launches the weapon with everything he has, using a special move he's trained for. The villain turns around, totally caught off guard, and can't believe the main character pulled off such a sneaky move. He's annoyed, trying to get ready for the hit that's coming his way. The lightning spear hits the bad guy right on the head. The impact is brutal, leaving him seriously hurt. The hit lands with so much force that it blasts right through the enemy and shoots upward, disappearing into the sky. The energy from the spear hits hard, blowing up a huge part of the forest. Trees get blasted apart, and the ground is left all messed up where the explosion ripped through. Everywhere you look, there's just wreckage and smoke hanging in the air. Our MC, totally wiped out, drops to the ground. His sister rushes over, not even giving him a second to catch his breath, and starts scolding him for pulling such a risky stunt. Both girls kept an eye on him, clearly worried since he had pushed himself way too hard. They stayed close, making sure he was okay and hoping he'd bounce back soon. Even with his injury, the villain just smiled like it was no big deal. He acted like nothing could stop him, because he was dead set on protecting the young master from the two girls. He flashes a weird, unsettling smile and shows off a sharp blade, looking like he's about to get serious all over again. He doesn't waste a second. He charges straight at the two girls, moving fast, ready to take them down. The servant girl spots danger coming fast. Without thinking twice, she jumps in front of the raid leader, trying to block the enemy's attack. Her heart pounds as she braces herself, hoping she can protect her. He swings hard and catches the white-haired girl right on target. The hit is strong, knocking her back with real power. She gets hit so hard that her body lifts off the ground and crashes straight into a tree. The hit knocks the wind out of her, leaving her stunned and struggling to catch her breath. The villain locked eyes with the other girl, making it clear she was next. She could feel the tension building, knowing she wouldn't have to wait long before facing whatever was coming. He changes his hands into sharp blades, getting ready to go in for another ruthless attack. He uses his blades to hold the girl in place, making sure she can't get away. He wants her to help with whatever scheme he's planning, using her as bait for what comes next. Just when it looks like the attack is about to hit the girl, a sudden flash of yellow lightning shoots in out of nowhere. The lightning knocks the attack away, stopping it right before it can reach her. She's safe, saved at the last possible moment. The enemy locks eyes on the main guy, lifting his small dagger and getting ready to strike. He moves in, steady and focused, planning to take him out with one quick move. He holds the weapon with both hands, his knuckles turning white. Without hesitating, he swings it down, clearly set on finishing the fight and taking the boy out right then and there. The blade sinks into the main character's back, leaving him hurt and struggling. The villain knocks him back hard, sending him flying across the room. His red-haired sister stands there, feeling totally hopeless as she watches everything happen. The girl finally slips out of her captor's grip, her heart pounding. She rushes to her brother, who's hurt but still hanging on, and helps him up. Not wasting a second, she throws his arm over her shoulder and they take off, moving as fast as they can, not daring to look back. The villain tightened his grip, clearly annoyed and confused about why the main character seemed so eager to risk everything right now. The main guy lay in his sister's arms, looking beat up but not giving in. Even though things looked rough, he wasn't scared. Deep down, he believed the tables were about to turn. In his mind, the real trouble was coming for the enemy, not for him. Blood dripped from his eye, and the guy was clearly pissed. He couldn't believe this kid had the guts to stand up to him like that. Out of nowhere, a figure showed up in the sky, clearly upset and shouting at him. The guy called him an ungrateful mutt for going after his master, making it obvious he was ready to back his side up. The main character's grandfather stands there, staring at him with a look that could freeze anyone in their tracks. His eyes are sharp, full of anger, and it's clear he's not happy with whatever just happened. Anyone watching could tell there's going to be trouble. The villain suddenly realizes that the loud, showy move from before wasn't just for show. It was meant to grab the family's attention. He grins to himself, feeling pretty good about the smart idea he just came up with. The story jumps back in time for a moment. The family pulls up to where the fight is supposed to happen, everyone feeling a little tense. They look around, but the butler lets them know the young master isn't there. The dad starts grumbling about how the kid's already up and walking around. Meanwhile, the butler lets him know that the servant girl is gone too. The head of the family was losing his cool. He could barely stand still, pacing back and forth as frustration built up inside him. He shot sharp looks at his men, pushing them to move faster and track down the two people who'd slipped away. Everyone around him could feel the tension rising, and no one wanted to get in his way. Right then, they noticed a streak of light cutting through the air from the main character's attack. Instantly, they understood where he was and headed straight in that direction. The grandfather charges up his lightning powers and shoots off, moving crazy fast toward where the signal came from. The grandfather shows up and quickly takes in what's going on. The villain notices him and starts to freak out, clearly nervous about what might happen next. He figures his best shot now is to grab the main guy and hold him as a hostage. He runs straight at the siblings, moving as fast as he can, reaching out to catch them. The red-haired sister grabbed her staff, ready to defend her brother if things got rough. She looked determined, not about to let anything happen to him. She catches the enemy off guard with a strong hit. He never saw it coming. The guy just stands there, totally shocked after the girl comes at him. He can't believe what just happened, and you can see the anger in his eyes as he stares her down. Out of nowhere, the main guy's dad shows up. He looks seriously mad and goes straight for the villain, basically calling him a failure because he keeps messing things up. The tension in the room spikes, and everyone can feel how disappointed the dad is. He charges at the villain, not giving him a chance to escape. The villain tries to run away, acting like he's innocent and didn't do anything wrong. The guy finds himself stuck with no escape, trapped by one of the massive beasts that roam the area. There's nowhere to hide, and the creature blocks every way out, leaving him frozen in place. The creature didn't hold back. It went after him fast, not even leaving a second for him to run. He was trapped with no way out. After that, the serpent started to change. Its scales shimmered, turning gold, and it grew bigger and stronger, looking way more powerful than before. The butler hurried over to the kids, letting them know the main character was all right, even though he'd gotten hurt. They could see he was still standing, so that was a relief. The grandfather smiled at the girls, clearly impressed with what they'd done. He let them know that their hard work had paid off. The serpent was finally ready, and they could go collect its rare treasure now. That's when it finally clicks for him. The noble families are actually letting regular people get eaten, so these monsters can grow stronger. The grandfather and his son get ready to take on the huge golden creature that just showed up. They know it's going to be tough, but neither of them backs down. There's a seriousness in the air as they stand side by side, both feeling the weight of what's about to happen. When they collided, a huge wave of red energy burst out and swept through the whole forest. The trees shook, and the ground trembled, making everything feel wild and out of control. Anyone nearby would seen the flash and felt the power, knowing these two weren't messing around. When the two collided, a huge burst of red energy blasted out, tearing through the whole forest. Trees snapped and leaves flew everywhere, the ground shaking from the force. Through the haze, two shapes slowly come into view. The kids keep their distance, watching carefully to see what's going to happen next. Their hearts race a little, but they feel safer standing back, just taking it all in. At that moment, he finally figured it out. The noble families had been using regular people as food for these beasts, helping the monsters get stronger. Grandpa and Dad are gearing up to face off against this crazy strong golden creature that just showed up. He realized this harvest turned out way better than he thought it would be that day. Grandpa told the butler to take the two girls and gather the rest of the stuff needed for the warehouse. In his mind, the old man is already planning how he's going to sneak the junk items in with the scrap and sell them off to regular hunters who won't notice the difference. He's got his eye on the good stuff, planning to hike up the prices so the teams have to spend way more than they should. He passes the poison sack to his son, hoping it'll help him meet some new people and make a few important connections. The whole time, his dad just stands there, quietly watching, a sneaky little smile on his face like he knows something no one else does. Grandpa gave them the silver snake's horn, ready for it to be taken to the auction house. He plans to use the scales to make something protective for his grandson, hoping it'll keep him safe. After hearing everything, the main guy just stands there, totally lost. He doesn't get why they're acting like this, and it shows on his face. He's just confused and trying to figure out what's going on. The butler gives a quick bow to his boss, showing he's ready to do whatever is asked of him. The kid's dad showed up and told his own father to give him the Snake King's essence. Grandpa wasn't exactly thrilled. He muttered under his breath about having a great wife at home, and honestly, he thought it would make more sense if her son just hung out with him instead. Right then, his mom walks over, and his sisters hang back, watching everything from a distance. The hero's dad freezes when he sees her. He's caught off guard and just stands there, staring, not sure what to do next. His face tightens up with anger, and his jaw clenches as he grinds his teeth together. The guy rests in his sister's arms, turning his head to look back. He locks eyes with the man behind him, his face set and serious, making it clear he's not in the mood for any games. Grandpa casually throws the snake essence toward the butler. The butler doesn't even flinch, just snags it right out of the air like it's no big deal. The butler holds the energy sphere and can't help but feel impressed by how much power it's giving off. It's way stronger than he expected, and for a second he just stands there, taking it all in. The head of the family watched his oldest son and could tell he was changing, becoming more capable than before. He figured this growth would be useful, especially with everything the family had going on. The butler drops to one knee, showing how grateful he is for the kindness shown to him. Deep down, he feels a strong sense of loyalty to the family, deciding right then that he'll always have their back, no matter what. A few days later, the clan mansion sits quietly under the stars. The lights from the huge house glow in the dark, making the place look even more impressive at night. In his room, the guy stood there turning a pendant over in his hands. His sister was there too, dropping some unexpected news, was going to be his maid now. He didn't really know how to react, just stared at the pendant, trying to process everything. The whole thing felt kind of strange, and he couldn't help but wonder how this was going to work out. The two sisters showed up out of nowhere, both wearing matching maid outfits. They looked right at him and smiled, like they were ready for whatever came next. He glances down at the pendant in his hand, and suddenly a message pops up, letting him know he's just scored a rank a defensive item. When the girl noticed her brother's worried face, she got a little concerned and wondered if something was up with him. Out of nowhere, the boy's eyes lit up, almost like they had their own electricity. He focused on the pendant, and a quick jolt of lightning shot out from him, hitting it straight on. He focused his lightning power on the pendant, hoping to give it a boost. A massive burst of yellow energy suddenly bursts out from his bedroom window, lighting up the whole area outside. Both sisters just stood there, eyes wide, not really believing what they'd just seen. The way he showed off his strength left them totally stunned. Even though there's a jolt of electricity, the pendant doesn't get messed up at all. It just sits there, looking exactly the same, not even a tiny scratch on it. He realizes that his test actually worked. When beasts eat people with powers, they get stronger and change. The main guy figures out that the noble families don't really care about normal people. They just use them to get what they want, treating them like pawns in their own games. By doing this, they score some awesome gear and resources that most people wouldn't even get close to. At the academy, everyone learns that nobles put their lives on the line to keep regular people safe. Thinking back on all the fake stuff people have done, the main guy starts to feel his anger bubbling up. He can't help but ball his hands into fists, trying to keep it together. The sisters started wondering if information could actually be that important. They thought about how knowing just a little bit more than someone else could change everything, and it made them realize how much power there is in just having the right facts. He turned around and started to realize just how risky it was not knowing what was really going on. It hit him that not having the right info could get him into serious trouble, and that feeling made him a little uneasy. From that point on, he decides they'll have to start using the family to find out more information. The two girls, both looking serious, nodded at each other. They decided to go along with their little brother's idea, ready to see where it would take them. Found himself wondering what was up with hanging out with that group everyone called the Divine Team. He couldn't help but feel a bit curious about her reasons for sticking with them. She pauses, unsure what to say, while her sister jumps in, clearly curious about why her own abilities are way more powerful than everyone else's. The red-haired sister just stands there, completely lost for words, while her sister keeps watching her, not saying anything but not looking away either. The main guy brings up the other sister, San, and right away, the young woman looks uncomfortable. She stiffens a bit, like she'd rather not talk about it. As soon as she hears the other girl's name, the young woman freezes. Her mind blanks out for a second, and it's like everything around her just stops. She can't believe what she just heard, and the shock hits her hard. She wipes her eyes, struggling to get the words out as she tells what went down. She drops to the floor, tears streaming down her face. She can't hold it in anymore and just starts crying, not caring who sees. The main character quickly puts a hand over her mouth, trying to keep things quiet. She lets her know that this isn't the place to break down, and they need to keep it together so no one hears. She finally manages to calm herself and sits down on the bed. Even though she's no longer freaking out, her hands are still trembling, and her mind can't stop replaying everything that just happened. The room feels heavier now, and she's struggling to steady her breathing. She begins to share what happened that day. Yi had gone out to search for their brother, but after leaving, she never returned. Little remembered a time when he was really hungry, just standing there and staring at a piece of cake he couldn't have. She stretches her hand out, aiming for the cherry sitting right on top of the cake. She sits quietly, looking down, her face showing how much she misses her siblings. She keeps glancing at the door, hoping they'll come home soon. The room feels a bit empty, and she can't help but wait, wishing things would go back to normal. She figures it's time to find her brother and Yi, hoping if she tracks them down now, they can all head home a bit earlier. Moves carefully through the dark house, trying to find San. He looks around corners and checks each room, hoping to spot her. The place feels even quieter than usual, and every shadow makes him a little more nervous. He keeps hoping San will pop out or answer back, but all he hears is his own footsteps. She felt a jolt of fear and took off down the dark hallway, her heart pounding. The shadows made everything seem creepier, and all she wanted was for her sister to cut it out and stop messing with her. Back in the present, the boy finds out that ran away from home, and the news totally throws him off. He didn't see it coming at all, and now he's left just trying to process what happened. From the rooftop, she noticed the beast tide wasn't just some random disaster. She figured out it was actually started by someone with bad intentions. The main guy wonders if beast tides are really just wild disasters that nobody can control. She remembered running across the rooftops looking everywhere for San. Her heart was pounding, and she felt like she might never find him in the huge city. Every shadow and sound made her hope it was him, but the rooftops just stretched on and on. She hurried to the door, her hands scrambling to get it open. At the same time, she hoped the kid would hurry up and get out of there before anything bad happened. Right then, she glances to the side. Her face goes pale, and anyone could tell she's seriously scared and anxious. Up on the rooftop, she noticed a strange guy standing alone. He had a staff in his hand, and the full moon lit him up from behind, making the whole scene look kind of unreal. The guy's face was lost in the darkness, but his eyes stood out, glowing bright red. He lifted his staff, and it started to shine with a strong, pulsing light. He brought his staff down hard on the ground, and as soon as it hit, a huge burst of energy rushed out. A huge red magic circle appeared on the ground, lighting up everything around it. A red light burst out from the circle, shooting straight up into the dark sky. A bright red beam shot upward, punching straight through the clouds and leaving a gaping hole in the sky. Suddenly, a glowing red portal started swirling where the beam had hit, lighting up everything below. Out of nowhere, a huge lizard-like eye stared out from the portal. Froze, his whole body tense with fear. He felt completely freaked out, like he couldn't move or even breathe. Out of nowhere, a strange red portal showed up in the night sky. Out of the portal came a bunch of red, scary-looking beasts. They looked like they were ready to tear up the whole city, and anyone watching could tell things were about to get chaotic. Feels a chill run down her spine just thinking about what happened. Her eyes start to water, and it's clear she's still really shaken up by the whole thing. Even remembering that moment is enough to make her feel scared all over again. In her memories, she found herself completely alone, with huge red demonic beasts closing in around her. Out of nowhere, a portal opened up high in the sky. All kinds of strange creatures started coming out, dropping down and going after anyone they could see. It was total chaos, with people running everywhere trying to get away. She told him how a demon wolf had been after her, and right then, a new panel showed up. The system popped up a message, letting her know she just unlocked a special power that made her body stronger. She listened to the system and jumped from one building to the next, trying to get away. The gap was pretty big, but she managed to land safely on the other side, her heart pounding from the rush. Back in the present, she explains how she kept running until she finally came across the subjugation team, who ended up taking her in. The main guy just couldn't believe it. Another system showed up out of nowhere, and all these crazy things kept happening to him. It felt like every time he thought he'd seen it all, something even weirder or more unbelievable happened. He was still trying to wrap his head around it, wondering if this was really his life now or if he was just dreaming. He started thinking that if everyone else had these systems, maybe he had one too. That meant there was still a chance was out there somewhere, still alive. The hero nodded, deciding to use the family's connections to start looking for any hints about her. He figured their network might be the best shot at tracking her down. Out of nowhere, mentioned that the system just gave her a new task, and there's even a reward waiting for her. Out of nowhere, she grabs her brother and lifts him up. He doesn't see it coming at all and just freezes, totally caught off guard. He's scared out of his mind, thinking about whether the same thing is about to happen to him all over again. The two sisters dashed away, full of energy. They were on a mission from the system, and this time it meant giving their brother another bath. Both of them seemed pretty hyped about it, almost like it was some kind of fun challenge. The two sisters dashed through the mansion, barely able to hide how pumped they felt. The main guy tried to keep up, making a big fuss about their weird setup as he hurried after them. The whole place echoed with their footsteps and his loud complaints, but none of them seemed to care. They were caught up in the crazy energy of the moment. They walked in and found themselves standing in a huge, fancy bathroom. Everything looked expensive, from the shiny tiles to the giant mirrors on the wall. It was clear this was where their mission would kick off, and the guys could feel the excitement and nerves building up as they took it all in. The redhead picks up the little guy and holds him up, clearly thinking he looks adorable. The other person standing nearby nods, agreeing without hesitation. His sister doesn't let up with the teasing, clearly getting a kick out of the whole thing. She laughs at him, finding the situation way too funny to pass up. The whole thing hits him hard and he just loses it. Embarrassment floods over him and he starts yelling, unable to hold back how freaked out he feels. Sitting in the tub, he relaxed as one of the sisters gently washed his hair. The other sister sat nearby, watching him with a soft smile, clearly enjoying the quiet moment together. The two of them were really enjoying themselves, making a mess by splashing water all over the place, while the young master took his bath. After his bath, they wrapped him up and seemed proud of how well he behaved. But he couldn't help but notice that things felt different now, and he wasn't too happy about it. Out of nowhere, the red-haired sister freezes. She looks super nervous, like something just freaked her out. When he noticed how upset she looked, the main guy started to get worried, trying to figure out what could have happened to make her react like that. She suddenly points, her face pale and scared. That's when everyone realizes the beast tide wasn't just some random event, it was all because of that person. The main guy and his sister just heard something that totally shocked them. They both stood there, not sure what to say or do next, trying to process what just happened. It felt like their brains needed a moment to catch up. Somewhere else, the butler walks next to a man with a scar running down his face. The camera moves closer, showing the man's face more clearly. His eyes are sharp and serious, giving off a vibe that makes him look kind of tough and hard to approach. In her memory, the girl remembers spotting that same guy up on a rooftop. He was standing there with a staff in his hands, and she watched as he started making the beast tide happen. The guy remembers how the man formed this huge red magic circle, and suddenly the whole sky just split open. From the portal, a huge reptile eye shows up, staring right at them. The girl just freezes, completely freaked out, her heart racing. The main guy steps up and lets everyone know he's actually the son of the future family leader. He tries to keep things chill, hoping nobody loses their cool over it. The three of them kept moving down the hallway, sticking together while the two other guys walked a bit farther ahead. The main guy shoots a sharp look at them as they walk past, his face all serious and kind of skeptical. He's clearly not buying whatever they're selling, watching them closely just in case. When the group walked by, the sister with red hair started to get really nervous. She tried to keep it cool, but anyone watching could tell she was scared. The guy with the scar sees how the girl reacts, but he just keeps quiet. As they walked up, the two sisters put on fake smiles and nodded at the butler. Neither of them really wanted to be there, but they tried to look polite anyway. The butler gave a quick bow to the main character, showing respect like he always did. He called him master, keeping things pretty formal between them. He stands there staring as the two head down the hallway. His face is all serious, not breaking for a second, just watching them go until they're out of sight. Joe and the butler stopped in front of a big door. The butler paused for a second, then let everyone know that Joe King was back and ready to meet the guy in charge. The MC figures out that the room they're near is actually the meeting room. Curious about what's going on inside, he quietly hangs back and listens in, hoping to catch something interesting from their conversation. His sister starts to get nervous, looking around like she's worried someone might spot them. He didn't seem bothered at all and looked like he already knew what to do. Even though she was worried, he acted calm, almost like he had something figured out. The plan was set, so they moved quietly, inching toward the door, making sure no one noticed them. The main guy suddenly rushes into the room, his sister's right behind him. One of the guards shouts at him, trying to stop him from going any further. Inside the room, his grandfather sits at his desk with two men. Both guys glance up, surprised by what's happening. The sisters looked really embarrassed as they bowed their heads, trying to say sorry. They clearly felt bad because they just couldn't stop the main guy, no matter how hard they tried. The little guy doesn't pay attention to anything going on around him. He just takes off, arms stretched out, heading straight for his grandpa. The head of the family waved everyone else away and looked over at his grandson, smiling as he motioned for him to come closer. The main character sat on his dad's lap, while his dad started telling him about how strong their family really was. Then, his dad wanted to know if he'd heard anything about the new beast tides. The butler stands quietly next to the man with the scar. Both of them pay close attention as the master gives his instructions, not wanting to miss a single detail. The guy hears that some new groups of beasts have already been spotted, and now everyone's on edge, knowing those things could show up and attack any time. When he finds out what's really going on, the guy can't help but get mad. It hits him that the academy isn't being honest with anyone. They're just throwing students right into a dangerous situation without telling the truth. Back in time, he remembers sitting in class when the teacher explained how the tides are basically a kind of natural disaster. The teacher went on to say that the awakened are the ones who step up to protect everyone from these dangers. The butler had already set things up so the guild would offer missions with big rewards. Because of that, a bunch of teams started showing up, all hoping to get in on the action. grandfather looked at the man with a nod of approval, feeling proud that the man's family had stuck by his own for 3 generations. That kind of loyalty really meant something to him, and he couldn't help but feel satisfied knowing their families had shared that long history together. The butler nodded at the guy with the scar, and just like that, the man knew exactly what to do. The guy drops to one knee right away, showing respect. He's clearly proud to have a chance to work for the family, not even hesitating for a second. The butler felt really grateful for the gift. Because of it, his son managed to hit peak B rank, which was a big deal for their family. Deep down, the butler really appreciated how thoughtful the master was and couldn't help but feel thankful for his kindness. The head of the family gave a small smile, looking pretty satisfied. He nodded, letting everyone know it was time to go ahead with the beast-tide plan, just like they'd already decided. The guy stays on his knees, not saying anything, just doing what his master told him to do. He doesn't argue or complain. He just listens and gets ready to follow orders like he's used to it. The grandfather tells everyone to get ready with fancy gear and set up some fun stuff for the survivors. There's a quick flashback showing a younger guy who looks a lot like the main character's grandpa. He's just relaxing in a hot spring, surrounded by a bunch of girls, all looking pretty comfortable. Off to the side, a maid stands back and watches them, keeping her distance. The butler stands in front of his boss, giving a quick bow before getting to work. He listens to every order and gets moving right away, not wasting a second or asking any questions. As night settles in, the huge family mansion stands out under the moonlight. The place looks really fancy, almost like something out of a movie, and it's hard not to notice how big it is compared to everything else around. Back in the room, the main guy sat down with his sisters and filled them in on what the family was up to. He told them about the plan to open up portals and use people as bait. The whole thing sounded risky, but he wanted them to know what was going on. Everyone listened, taking it in, each of them trying to wrap their heads around just how serious things were getting. He explains that the awakened are the ones who go up against the beasts. With their help, they're able to collect a bunch of important stuff from the battles. His sister can't believe what she's hearing. She's upset, struggling to understand how anyone could act like that. To her, it just doesn't feel right, almost like those people don't even see others as human. The main character points out how the nobles see things. For them, they're the only real people around. Everyone else, just treated like animals, not even close to equals. The red-haired sister starts to bring up the idea of sharing their plan with everyone, but the guy quickly shuts her down before she can say more. He thinks that no matter how honest they are, people probably won't trust them anyway. Both of them started to feel uneasy, not sure what to do next. They turned to their brother, hoping he might have some answers or ideas about what they should do now. The main guy makes up his mind. He's had enough of the family's guys causing trouble, and he's ready to step up. He knows the beast tide isn't going to stop on its own, so he decides to take things into his own hands. No more sitting back. He's going straight after the problem, determined to stop both the goons and the chaos they're bringing with them. He motions for his 2 sisters to come over, so he can fill them in on what they're about to do. Both girls move a little closer, curious about what he's going to say next. He leans in close and quietly shares what he's thinking. The others focus in, not wanting to miss a single detail of his plan. The boy looks at them, checking if they got what he just explained. Both of them give a quick nod, showing they're on the same page. Even though they tried to hype themselves up, the doubt was still there. Deep down, everyone wondered if they actually had what it took to beat someone that powerful. The thought kept nagging at them, making it hard to feel confident. The main guy figures he's got about 3 weeks to get everything ready, because the plan starts up at the end of the month. He lifts his baby bottle, acting like it's some kind of secret weapon. He seems pretty sure that this is how they're supposed to get stronger, but his sister just stares at him, not getting it at all. She looks a little lost, trying to figure out what he's even talking about. At that moment, the young guy stood there, his white hair getting messed up by the wind. He shot an annoyed look, clearly frustrated, but tried to play it cool. He moves fast, grabbing the bottle and sticking it right into his other sister's mouth before she even knows what's happening. She looks totally caught off guard. She grabs the milk and takes a sip, not expecting anything special. Out of nowhere, she feels her strength shoot up, way more intense than anything she's ever felt at the gym or practicing. It's like all that training got fast-forwarded, and she can't believe how strong she suddenly feels just from drinking milk. The main guy heads out, deciding he might as well grab some food for himself while the others hang back and finish their milk. The main character's mom is sitting quietly, lost in her own world, just trying to relax and clear her mind. Out of nowhere, her son walks in and breaks the silence, snapping her out of her peaceful moment. She starts to grumble about how he always seems to be hungry, never really full no matter how much he eats. In her eyes, he's just a bit of a troublemaker, always wanting more food. 3 weeks passed, and the main guy started to feel like he might be reaching his limit. Sitting there, he stared at the system screen, kind of lost in thought, wondering if this was as far as he could go. The system lets him know he's got a new skill. He starts to think about whether he could actually become by taking over someone else's body. He wonders if there's a way to get back to normal without having to go through something as weird as spending another 9 months in the womb. The guy starts to catch on that his new skill isn't just for show. It could actually help him out in a fight. It hits him that maybe, just maybe, this ability could be the edge he needs the next time trouble comes his way. The illustration shows the main character pulling off his new move, using it right in the heat of battle to go straight after his opponents. It's clear he's found a way to turn things around, and you can almost feel the focus and energy as he puts this technique to the test. The whole scene gives off that vibe of leveling up, like he's finally figured out how to take control and hit back harder than before. Right at that moment, his sisters rushed into the room, full of energy. They looked super excited, and from the way they acted, it was obvious that everything was finally ready. The 3 siblings all sat together in the same room, trying to figure out what to do about the enemies getting closer. They tossed around different ideas, each of them thinking hard about how to stop whatever was coming their way. Even though things felt tense, they knew they had to come up with a solid plan if they wanted to protect themselves. In another scene, the white-haired sister leans in close, letting her brother know she's already looked into everything about the guy called Jo-Chum. Turns out, she lets him know that he's actually a divine awakening master, and finished near the top of his class at the academy. Just then, another maid stepped in and told everyone to quiet down. She seemed serious, reminding them that the guy they were talking about was actually dangerous. At the siblings' meeting, the sister with red hair joined in, letting everyone know she'd found out something important about him too. Rumor had it the Lord handed him some rare life essence, and that's what helped him reach the top of B rank. The youngest sister hears what's going on, and it hits her. This guy is way tougher than the last enemy they went up against together. It's clear to her now that they're dealing with a whole new level of power. The main character takes a moment to think about where he stands. He realizes he's barely made it to the first level of C rank. It's not much, but it's a step up from before. He knows he still has a long way to go, but at least he's making some progress. Managed to reach the top of D rank in just 3 weeks, which was pretty impressive. But even with both of them teaming up, they still didn't have much of a shot. The redhead suddenly looked more confident. After helping him out with a bath, she had discovered a new skill. She seemed eager to let everyone know they didn't need to stress about the situation anymore. Both sisters suddenly light up, their faces full of curiosity. They can't wait to find out what kind of power she discovered. The girl flashed a confident smile, feeling pretty proud as she explained that her new move had an awesome name. She suddenly pauses for a second, then gets into a fighting stance. Looking fired up, she announces in her head the name of her next move, Bloodthirsty Rush. Herod's sister hears the name and seems pretty impressed, while the main guy looks kind of awkward, like he's not sure how to react. She lets everyone know, calm and sure of herself, that this move makes her way stronger for half a minute, like she could take on anyone for those 30 seconds. With her new power, she feels pretty unstoppable, confident that just one punch from her could launch the enemy way out of sight, maybe even all the way across the planet. Feeling pumped, she starts throwing a few quick punches at the air, moving around like she's in her own little boxing match. Her sister watches from the side, clapping and cheering her on, totally into it. The main character flashes a confident grin. He's already thought up a plan. He keeps thinking about it, kind of confused. The system gave everyone some crazy cool skills, all because they helped him take a bath. It just doesn't add up in his head, and he can't stop wondering what the catch is. He can't help but feel uneasy, thinking their strength might not cut it against the enemy. The redhead noticed her brother looking worried. She wondered what info he'd found that could help with their plan. The main character suddenly shows off a confident grin, looking like he knows something no one else does. Right then, he decides it's time to let everyone in on his big secret. He thought his info really mattered, especially since he found out the enemy was going to be in the city at 1 in the morning. The main character happened to catch the man with the scar talking to his grandfather. He listened quietly as the man explained that everything was set for the attack planned at 1 a.m. The red-haired sister hears the news and just freezes. She wasn't expecting it at all, and for a second she can't even react. It's one of those moments where everything just kind of stops and she's left processing what she just heard. She starts freaking out a bit because that spot is exactly where her Divine Awakening group hangs out. She suddenly realizes the commander is in trouble. Without wasting a second, she takes off, sprinting to alert the rest of the group about the attack. Her heart's pounding as she races through the chaos, just hoping she gets there in time. The young hero steps in, catching her by the arm. A small spark of lightning crackles from his hand, just enough to keep her from moving forward. He reminds her there's no need to rush. They still have some time left, and there's a chance to help everyone. He looked focused, already thinking of how he was going to take down. He had a plan in mind and felt ready for whatever was coming next. Both sisters light up, getting all hyped and curious to know if he's actually got a plan figured out already. The young guy moves closer, lowering his voice as he quietly shares what he's planning. He's got a secret plan, and he's careful about who hears it, making sure only the right people know what's up. He feels sure about their plan and isn't worried about the clock. Tonight, he knows they're finally going after Joe, and he's ready for it. The two sisters shared a quick look and nodded, both feeling set for what was coming next. They didn't say much, but you could tell they were on the same page and ready to get started. As night settles in, the city gets quieter, and a bright full moon hangs overhead, casting enough light for what's about to go down. Everything feels kind of tense, like the whole place is holding its breath, waiting for the operation to kick off. It was almost midnight, and the clock on the wall showed that time was running out. The ambush was about to begin, and everyone could feel the tension building up. The three siblings pulled on their black clothes and masks, getting ready for whatever came next. They moved quietly, checking their stuff one last time, all set to kick off their plan. Word started going around that the enemy had this crazy move called Divine Whip. Everyone got a little tense, knowing they'd have to watch out for it. With this move, he can turn his arms into whips, using that along with his boosted strength. With this power, he can break through even the strongest metal armor out there. The three friends jump down from the rooftop, slipping quietly into the shadows as they start their mission for the night. With the full moon glowing behind them, they glide across the night sky, moving fast and light as shadows. As the group moved down toward the building, one of them noticed something important. He picked up a signal, and it looked like the person they were searching for was inside. Everyone started getting ready, feeling a mix of nerves and excitement. The girl with white hair felt relieved. Thanks to her friends from the pomegranate group, things moved along a little faster than she expected. She appreciated having people she could count on. They glance down and notice a building with a single light on. Right away, it's clear that's where the enemy is hiding. The three guys move quickly along the side of the building, trying to stay out of sight as they get closer to what they're after. The guys quickly move behind a wall, keeping low so they don't get spotted. From their hiding spot, they watch the enemy, trying to figure out what their next move should be. Up on the rooftop, the guy stands with a staff in his hand. It gives off this steady red glow, almost like a warning light you can't ignore. One of the sisters looked like she was about to jump in and start a fight, but the main guy held her back. He wanted her to chill out and wait, not rush into things. The villain focuses hard, channeling a ton of energy into his staff. He grips the weapon tight, and red lightning starts to spark from it. You can tell he's getting ready to let loose everything it's got. The main character spotted a good chance, and quickly signaled his sisters to go for it. The red-haired guy slammed his fist into the ground, pulling up a massive chunk of concrete like it was nothing. She throws the slab as hard as she can, aiming straight at their enemy. The guy moves quick and dodges the attack without much trouble, but the rock still manages to catch his face on the way by. He stands there a bit dazed, trying to process what just happened. The hit caught him off guard, and for a second everything feels kind of blurry. He was hit out of nowhere and instantly got mad. He looked around, trying to figure out who would even think about going after him. He stares hard at the hole in the wall behind him, left by whatever just shot through. Right when everyone's attention slips for a second, the other sister spots her chance. She moves quick, sliding in to grab the enemy's staff before anyone even notices. The villain suddenly gets it. He just got played. He spins around, face twisted with anger, locking his eyes on the girl. He's not holding back now and gets ready to go after her. The villain's arm changed shape, turning into something that looked almost unreal. With a quick move, he lashed out, using his new power like a whip. A long arm stretches out fast, reaching for the girl before she even has time to react. She blocks the hit with her leg, then pushes off with her staff, flipping herself out of his reach. The sister grabs the weapon and throws it as far as she can, making sure it's out of the enemy's reach. The enemy glances back, just in time to catch the staff spinning through the air toward him. The villain focused, reaching out with his divine whip power. He tried to pull his weapon back, hoping it would snap right into his hand. Out of nowhere, a bright yellow flash cuts through the air, racing straight at the villain. The energy behind it is obvious. Even from a distance, anyone could tell this wasn't something to mess with. The guy suddenly freaks out when he notices there's no way to dodge what's coming. It hits him that he's out of time, and there's nothing he can do to get away. The lightning slams right into its target, setting off a huge burst of energy. After checking out what happened, the main guy let his sister know they managed to land a solid hit on him. The enemy stepped out of the thick smoke, his arm badly burned. He looked furious, yelling at them with all the anger he had. The main guy and his sister couldn't believe it when they saw he was still alive after the attack. Both of them just stood there, totally stunned, trying to process what just happened. It felt unreal, like something out of a wild story, but there he was, still breathing against all odds. The villain stood in front of them, looking like he meant business. He made it clear that he wanted to mess with their heads, acting like they'd seriously regret ever crossing his path. The tension in the air was heavy. Nobody really knew what he'd do next, but it was clear he wasn't messing around. The enemy doesn't even hesitate. He jumps straight at the three of them, looking totally set for a fight. The young guy quickly slid backward, signaling his sisters that it was time to switch things up and go with Plan B. He felt a rush of nerves, hoping they were all on the same page. With the enemy's weapon gripped in her hands, the white-haired sister gets ready for whatever's coming next. She stands alert, eyes sharp, not about to let her guard down. She grips the staff tightly and starts spinning it with a ton of power, getting ready to move on to what comes next. Right then, she throws the staff over to her brother. The main guy grabs the staff right when the redhead and the villain are about to go at it. Both of them start showing off their fighting energy, and you can almost feel the tension building up in the air. The siblings didn't waste any time. They rushed straight into the chaos, aiming to help the red-haired huntress. She was clearly outnumbered, surrounded by a group of monsters, and things looked rough for her. The girl begins to keep up with the guy, meeting his strength step for step. He can't believe how strong the girl is. Watching her, he starts to wonder who these kids really are and how they got so powerful while they're still so young. Doesn't seem bothered at all. At that moment, the main guy pulls out the red scepter. He gets ready to use one of his strongest moves, looking focused and determined, like he knows this is his big chance. The little guy lifts his hand, and out of nowhere, a huge bolt of lightning comes crashing down from the sky. It lights up everything around him, buzzing with so much power that it makes the air feel heavy. The traitor has no idea what's going on and just stares, confused by the weird skill he's seeing. He can't figure out what it is or how it's even possible. Suddenly, a red portal tears open in the sky. Dark, twisted claws start reaching out from the hole, making everything below feel tense and uneasy. The boy notices something's wrong and realizes everyone's in trouble. Panic hits him hard, and he rushes to warn the others, hoping they'll all make it out before things get worse. Pushes the girl, and she loses her balance, falling down onto the ground. Right after the hero chucks a baby bottle, it sails through the air, heading right for the henchman. The guy tries to stop the bottle, but as soon as it hits, it explodes all over him, soaking him in milk from head to toe. He stands there totally confused. He's trying to figure out why someone would come at him with a baby bottle. The whole thing is so random that his brain is still catching up. Out of nowhere, a big red monster showed up. The villain just stood there, looking pretty pleased with himself, almost like he was thanking everyone for making things so easy. It was obvious he thought he'd tricked them all into doing exactly what he wanted. Up above, a soft yellow light starts to shine in the sky. The traitor notices it and can't help but stare, curious about what's going on. Out of nowhere, a streak of golden light shot past and hit the monster that had just chomped down on. He shrugs the beast off without much trouble. Figured his mission was done, thanks to their help. With that sorted out, he decided it was time to head out on his own. Right then, the guy suddenly notices something off. Before he can react, blue energy arrows zip through the air, heading straight for him. That's when it hits him. He's walked straight into a trap. A group of red wolves comes running straight toward him. The traitor just rolls his eyes, clearly not impressed. He looks at them like he can't believe they actually think this will slow him down. While he's focused on dodging the flying energy arrows, the wolves take their chance and leap at him. The main character just stands there, not moving, while the henchman comes closer, ready to go in for a straight-up attack. Both girls just stand there, looking totally chill, like nothing's bothering them at all. Takes off, moving fast, aiming straight for the main guy. The wolves aren't far behind, chasing after him, ready for whatever comes next. Everyone's attention was on their friend, the guy at the center of it all. The enemy just laughs, clearly not buying what the kid is trying to pull. He isn't impressed at all, and it's obvious he thinks the kid's move is lame. Ended up bringing the whole group straight to him. The girls let out terrified screams as they watched their brother in serious trouble, surrounded by wild animals and about to get hurt. Panic and fear hit them hard, knowing they can't do much to help. The hero saw his friends getting too close, so he quickly warned them to back off and stay out of the way. He didn't want anyone else getting caught up in the fight. The villain perks up when he hears the boy's voice. Something about it feels familiar, and it bugs him. He tries to remember where he's heard that voice before, his mind racing through old memories and places, but nothing clicks right away. Still, that feeling of recognition sticks with him, making him curious about who this boy really is. He turns around, trying to figure out where he's heard that voice before. He looks at the smaller guy, searching his memory, hoping it'll click. The traitor freezes up the moment he realizes whose voice he's hearing. It hits him all at once. He actually knows this guy. For a second, he can't believe it and just stands there, totally thrown off. The wolves didn't even bother with the boy. Instead, they turned their attention to Q and jumped right at him. Couldn't help but freak out as the wolves kept coming after him, ignoring the kid completely. He wondered why he was the only one getting chased, feeling both confused and a little annoyed. It just didn't seem fair. Pulls up a purple energy shield, getting ready to block the wolves and push back. He stands his ground, using the shield to protect himself as the wolves close in, not backing down even as they attack. He spotted the wolves charging at him and his instincts kicked in. He stood his ground, doing whatever he could to keep them off him. There were just way too many people, and everything started to get messier and harder to handle. The monsters eventually got to him and brought him down. The small main character grabs his scepter and pulls it out of the ground. The red lightning disappears from the sky, leaving nothing behind but what's left of on the ground. Now it's just the wolves' job to take care of the rest. The sisters rushed over, looking really worried. They could tell he was totally wiped out, slumped over and barely able to move. Right then, the group of red wolves all looked straight at him. The two girls quickly moved in front of the little guy, making sure he was safe behind them. They didn't even hesitate. It was like their first instinct was to have his back. The brothers let their sibling know they had things under control, and that he didn't need to worry about the rest. The girl in the red outfit spotted the vice captain walking in and couldn't hide how excited she was. She waved, trying to get his attention, clearly glad that backup had finally shown up. A woman with purple hair dropped down from above with her team right behind her. They all looked ready to jump into a fight, focused and alert, like they'd done this 100 times before. The guy lets out a deep breath, feeling the weight lift off his shoulders now that everything's done. The mission's finally over and all that's left is heading home. He can't help but feel a quiet sense of victory, nothing too flashy, just the satisfaction of getting through it. The next day in a huge, fancy house, someone started yelling like crazy. Grandpa stands up, clearly angry, while another man is down on one knee in front of him. The servant can't hold back his tears. He's standing in front of the boy's grandpa, feeling totally defeated. He's upset with himself, thinking he let everyone down and just hoping Grandpa might forgive him. The boss lost his cool, blaming Joe Ching for messing things up right when it mattered most. That just made him even angrier. The butler noticed his boss getting worked up and tried to keep things chill. He promised he'd look into what was going on and make sure to clear things up. The older guy's hand shakes a little, but you can tell he's starting to calm down. Still, he's obviously annoyed, like he's nowhere near letting it go yet. Word got around that the family's leader was out for payback after what happened to his son. Nobody expected him to let the traitor off easy. He was the type to hold a grudge. The servant felt grateful to the boss and made up his mind to figure out who was responsible for the attack. He wasn't going to let it slide. He wanted answers and wasn't planning to give up until he found out the truth. Right at that moment, a woman steps into the room and looks around for the butler, who's still down on one knee on the floor. The boy's mom noticed the baby was eating more than usual, which threw off her plans to go shopping that day. She seemed a bit stressed, trying to juggle everything at once. Grandpa just laughed, brushing it off like it was no big deal. He figured it made sense for him to eat a lot since he was still growing. He keeps going, making it clear that the little boy means a lot to both families. For them, this kid feels like the best chance they've got for a better future. Grandpa lets him know that some families have already shown interest in setting up a marriage for the kid. The mom can't help but be a little shocked, noticing how her son already seems to have made a name for himself with the other families. Word started getting around about the boy, and Grandpa knew it wouldn't stop there. He could tell this was something that needed to be handled quick, before things got out of hand. The main character just stood there, totally thrown off, trying to figure out what kind of strange marriage plan he'd gotten mixed up in. Nothing made sense, and he couldn't help but think this whole situation was way out of the ordinary. The two girls happened to catch the conversation as they walked by. When they realized their brother was getting engaged, they both froze, totally shocked. Neither of them saw it coming, and the news hit them like a surprise text at midnight. The kid shuts his eyes and gives a small nod, pretty much letting everyone know that what they just heard is actually true. The sisters heard about him getting engaged, and honestly, they didn't look thrilled. You could tell from their faces that the news caught them off guard. It was one of those moments when everyone's trying to act normal, but the vibe is just off. The white-haired girl wondered if he was really planning to end up with the grandkids of those troublemakers. The guy just grinned, showing he'd never leave his friends behind. Honestly, he wasn't bothered about those spoiled kids either. He'd rather hang out with his real crew anyway. The girl's face lit up with a real smile. a mix of relief and happiness showing when she heard his promise. Outside the mansion, a bunch of important families start showing up. They're all dressed up and carrying gifts for the big engagement. The place gets busier as more people arrive, each one trying to make a good impression. The butler moved around, making sure everyone knew what to do so the event would go off without a hitch. He checked on the decorations, reminded the staff about their tasks, and kept an eye out for anything out of place. Everything had to be just right, and he wanted it to look flawless when the guests arrived. The main character's mom goes to Grandpa and starts venting. She thinks the butler should just taken care of everything on his own, instead of getting everyone else involved. The old man looked pretty fed up with his son, thinking he couldn't really handle anything important. So he figured it was time for her to step up and start learning how to run things herself. Right then, a maid rushed down the hallway, heading straight for the butler. The young woman walks up to the servant and leans in close, quietly saying something just for him. The butler hurries over to where his grandpa is sitting. The servant moved closer to the boss and quietly shared what he'd just learned, making sure no one else could hear. Grandpa's face changes, and he looks more focused, like he's really thinking something over. He gets up from his seat and signals for his daughter-in-law to come inside, letting her know it's time to join the engagement meeting. A woman comes in, carrying the boy in her arms. The butler came into the room holding a sealed letter. Everyone could tell it was important. It was from the second, younger master, all the way from the imperial capital. The air in the room changed a little. People started paying more attention, wondering what news the letter might bring. The main character's grandfather, looking all serious, reaches out and takes the letter. He gives the letter to the main character's mom, while she's got her son sitting on her lap. The main guy notices that sealed letters are what fancy families use when they need to share something important. He reaches out for the letter, letting out some quiet baby sounds as he does. He realizes the big bosses are planning something against the Ling family, but honestly, he's not bothered at all. He rushes over to his mom, really wanting more milk. She hugged him close and nudged him to slow down with his food, wanting him to take it easy. The elder doesn't pay any attention to what's happening around him. Instead, he turns to his daughter-in-law, wanting to know what she thinks about what's written in the letter. She can't help but think about why the people at the top are paying attention to the Ling family all of a sudden. It doesn't make much sense, since everyone knows the Lings aren't doing so well these days. The family head just grins, acting like it was all some mix-up on their part. Now he knows their businesses are up for grabs, and he's ready to take advantage of the situation. He decides that the Ling family's marriage proposal party isn't welcome back. The young guy hands over his bottle to his sister, the one with the bright red hair. Right then, his other sister bursts into the room, looking for both of them. The sudden shock made the bottle slip right out of his hand, sending milk everywhere. It ended up all over his sister with the red hair. He quickly pushes the bottle toward his other sister, making sure she takes it. He notices that she's all stressed out and wonders what's got her so riled up. Trying to help, he grabs some milk and offers it to her, hoping it'll help her calm down and feel better. His sister takes a sip, looking pretty pleased with herself. She passes the bottle back to her brother, letting him know she just spotted. The main guy's eyes go wide. He's totally thrown off, looking around and trying to figure out where he's ended up. Nothing looks familiar, and he's got that confused feeling, like when you wake up in a place you don't remember. The sister lets him know she's over at the Ling family's place for a marriage proposal party. In a quick flashback, the older sister is working at the event when she spots the Ling family walking in. She notices them right away, taking in how they make an entrance. She spots their carriage rolling in, and one of the girls starts getting things together to help out. Sat quietly inside the carriage, feeling kind of awkward in a maid's dress. The main guy freezes for a second when he hears someone mention the Ling family. It's like his brain just hit pause. He wasn't expecting that name to come up, and now he's running through all the reasons why it matters, trying to figure out what this could mean for him. When their brother made a weird face, the two girls noticed right away and tried to figure out what was bugging him. The hero feels a surge of anger as he thinks about the family. He's convinced they're about to wipe out the Ling family, and it's clear he's not happy about it at all. He starts freaking out, waving his arms and trying to get everyone to help figure out how to get out of that place. He thinks he can slip away, but just as he's about to bolt, his mom pops up out of nowhere and stands right in front of him, cutting off his escape. His mom looks at him with that serious face she always makes, wanting to know where he's going this time. His mom grabbed him and made sure he didn't take off. She told him that Grandpa wanted him at the meeting, so he had no choice but to go along. She picks him up and takes him away, leaving his sisters behind. They just stand there, looking really worried about what's going to happen next. The redhead looked around, not really sure what to do next. She glanced at her white-haired sister, hoping for some kind of idea. The sister stayed calm and started thinking things through. She knew they couldn't just rush into things, so she made it clear they needed to figure out a plan before doing anything else. Just then, another maid walked in and waved at them, signaling that the butler needed some help setting things up. Both of them got the message and headed off to see what the butler needed. Both girls nod, but you can tell they're still kind of tense. Their eyes keep darting around, and it's obvious they're not totally chill with what's going on. Even though they're trying to play it cool, there's this awkward vibe between them, like they're waiting for something to happen. In the hall, the grandfather stood up and showed his appreciation to the families gathered there. After that, he let everyone know that out of all the girls present, only 3 were a good match for his grandson. The 3 family leaders stood together, feeling pretty grateful for the chance to bring their families closer. They lowered their heads in respect, taking the moment seriously, and you could tell it meant a lot to them. The elder made it clear that skill was what really mattered. Whoever came out on top in this special challenge would end up with the boy as their prize. The hero stands there feeling lost, not really sure what this skill test is supposed to be. He glances around, hoping for some kind of clue, but everything just looks unfamiliar. The uncertainty makes him uneasy, but he tries to stay calm, even though nothing really makes sense right now. The scene shifts to the 3 families picked for the test, Yi Nanggong and the Ling family. The grandfather wasn't happy at all. He complained to himself, annoyed that the Ling family decided to send over a daughter from a concubine to the event. He's got this intense look, like he's angry but trying to keep it together. Deep down, he knows he just let it happen to distract everyone, hoping they wouldn't notice what he was really up to. He starts to feel nervous, realizing that now he only has his 2 sisters to lean on. He presses his face against his mom, which starts to annoy her. She starts raising her voice at him, but he doesn't really react. Instead, he just grabs some milk and takes a sip, trying to chill out. Grandpa just laughs and motions for her to let him have another drink. He seems pretty chill about it, acting like it's no big deal, even though everyone knows he's not exactly normal. He thinks about how, when the main character gets older and finally faces the test in the capital, everyone will probably praise her and give her all the recognition. The mom looked totally wiped out. She thought her son was just a non-stop headache, always getting into trouble and never doing anything but reaching for another drink. Meanwhile, the butler walks into a room where the head of the family is just sitting by himself. The servant lets him know that the Ling girl probably won't make it through the test, and if she fails, their whole group is out. The family leader looked pretty pleased, clearly happy with how things were going. He seemed to think their plan was actually solid. When he caught wind of the messed up plan, panic hit him hard. All he could think about was his sister and what might happen to her. Min's sister with her white hair hurries down the mansion's hallway, carrying a tray full of fruit. Headed sister rushes around, clearly stressed out. She's got a lot on her plate and keeps thinking there's just no chance for her to get away from everything she's supposed to do. The 2 sisters hurry down the hallway, focused on getting their chores done. Their steps echo as they move quickly, not wanting to fall behind. It's just another busy day, and they stick together, making sure everything gets finished. The 2 of them glance at each other, both clearly stressed out. Neither of them knows what to do next, and it's obvious they're both running through all the possible options in their heads. Uncertainty hangs in the air, and they're both just hoping for some kind of answer. The story moves over to the family's private arena. It's huge, kind of like one of those old-school coliseums you see in history videos. The place feels epic, with high walls and tons of seats, making it clear that the family doesn't mess around when it comes to their battles. In a private box above the crowd, the grandfather sat next to the butler. The young guy's mom was there too, holding on to him. Together, they watched everything happening below, quietly taking it all in. The butler stepped forward and let everyone know the test was about to start. He looked around, searching for the young lady from the family, letting her know it was her turn. Everyone in the room started paying attention, waiting to see what would happen next. The guys sat in their seats, eyes glued to the stadium as the first contestant walked into the huge arena. At the entrance to the arena, the girl from the family showed up. She wore a gothic dress that made her stand out, catching the attention of everyone nearby. The main guy's grandfather looked over at the girl competing. He could tell she was good at what she did, and he also noticed she looked pretty cool doing it. He admired how she handled herself, thinking she was both skilled and really put together. The hero's mom didn't look impressed when she saw the girl. She just glanced over and didn't show much reaction, almost like she wasn't interested or maybe had something else on her mind. Most noble girls didn't turn out like her, at least that's what the older folks always said. She wasn't just another rich kid, she actually stood out and people noticed. She nodded, thinking that a daughter-in-law should be someone who's ready to help out with whatever life throws their way down the road. The butler stepped forward and called out the name of the second young lady from the Yi family, signaling her to come into the arena. Everyone's eyes shifted as they waited to see what she'd do next. Just then someone's hand went straight up. He looked excited, ready to jump in before anyone else. Right after, a girl in a frilly dress rushes into the middle of the arena, looking super excited. She walks over to the other competitor, grinning wide. She stands in front of the family, giving a respectful bow. After that, she lets them know her name is Yi, making sure everyone knows who she is. The protagonist's mom noticed how the girl acted and thought to herself that this girl really knew how to get on everyone's good side. The butler stepped forward and let everyone know it was time for the third daughter of the Ling family to make her entrance. Her name was Ling. Girl with short hair, dressed in plain clothes, starts making her way over to the arena. She walks in, not making a big deal out of it, but right away, it's clear she stands out from the other two. The three contenders finally came together in the grand combat arena. The hero's grandpa and mom stood off to the side, keeping a close eye on the three girls. Both of them looked pretty serious, like they were trying to figure out what was going on. The hero can't help but think about whether this is the same girl he saw hanging out with. He's trying to figure out how she ended up in this place, and the whole situation has him feeling kind of confused. In the arena, three girls stood facing each other, all set for the skill test to kick off. Each of them looked focused, sizing up their competition. The place felt tense, like everyone was waiting to see who would make the first move. The girl with short hair catches the attention of the other two just by saying the letter E. They both look over, curious about what she's up to. The girl didn't look happy at all. She glared and pointed right at her, clearly ticked off. It was like she couldn't believe someone who's supposed to be a noble would act like that. The main guy found himself hanging upside down, and honestly, he looked like he was really feeling the pressure. This whole weird situation had him on edge, and anyone could tell he wasn't exactly having a good time. The short-haired girl just grabbed him by the foot, acting like it was nothing special. She smiled at him, calling him her hubby, and let him know she'd be counting on him to look after her from now on. The guy completely loses his cool and freaks out, wanting her to let him go right away. Right then, his three sisters showed up out of nowhere, all yelling at the girl to leave their brother alone. The three sisters stared at the girl, all of them fuming. You could just feel how angry they were, like they were about to explode. Their eyes locked on her, and it was obvious they were not happy. The youngest sister smiled and called for her brother, her voice joining in with the other two. Looking around at the chaos, the main guy can't help but think about how everything ended up this way. It wasn't supposed to get this out of hand, but somehow things just spiraled. Now he's stuck in the middle of it, trying to figure out where it all went wrong. A few hours earlier, the family's arena was buzzing with energy. The place was packed, and everyone was focused on the skill test happening in the center. The purple-haired girl stands her ground as a wild, demon boar charges straight at her. She doesn't back down, even though the thing looks like it's ready to smash through anything in its way. The young woman grabs her sword again, and as she holds it, a soft light starts to shine from the blade. She holds onto her weapon, her hand tight around the handle. Her eyes stay locked on the beast standing in front of her, and you can tell she's getting ready to attack. The girl moves fast, barely breaking a sweat as she swings her sword. The monster doesn't stand a chance. Her blade slices straight through, splitting it right down the middle. After the fight, she stood alone in the arena. Behind her, the creature she just defeated lay in pieces. The place was quiet now, with only the sound of her breathing and the mess left from the battle. She looked around, trying to catch her breath, feeling the weight of what just happened. The grandfather noticed how well she handled herself, especially considering she hadn't awakened any special powers yet and was just using the family sword. He was quietly impressed by her skills. He thinks about how tough she is, standing up for herself when her family tries to set her up with someone she doesn't even like. It's not easy for her, but she's not backing down, no matter how much pressure they put on her. The second round kicks off, and the guy representing the Yi family steps into the arena. The girl stands her ground, staring at a monster that's even scarier than the one before. Her heart's pounding, but she refuses to back down. This new demon looks intense, like it could crush anything in its way, and the atmosphere feels way heavier than before. She knows she has to stay sharp if she wants to make it out of this. She flashes a sly grin, her eyes lighting up in the dark. With a calm confidence, she faces the beast, making it clear that it's time for him to move on. Her power goes straight for the creature's mind, hitting it with this weird pink energy. The beast looks totally thrown off by the attack. It starts freaking out, running in circles around the arena, not really sure what to do next. The animal, caught up in the rush of power, bolts away from the guy, not looking back. The thing crashes hard against the arena wall, hitting it with a ton of force. The hit lands hard, dropping the creature right away. It doesn't even get a chance to react before it's out cold. The beast just drops and doesn't move anymore, stretched out on the arena floor. The guy and his sisters stood there, eyes wide, taking in everything that just happened. None of them could believe how strong the girl was. The way she pulled it off left them all pretty stunned. The competitor gave a quick wave to the crowd, letting everyone know she'd finished the challenge. The main character's mom turned to the butler, curious about what just happened. She wanted to know what that weird power was all about. He tells her that what she's feeling is something her family goes through, a kind of strange mind thing that messes with your thoughts. The woman couldn't help but feel uneasy. She started to worry that the girl might end up controlling everyone in the family later on. The grandfather didn't seem worried at all. For him, as long as someone's divine awakening was strong enough, nothing else really mattered. The hero started thinking about how his mom's milk seemed to make him stronger. It was weird, but he couldn't deny how much it boosted him. He couldn't help but wonder what kind of secrets these noble families were keeping, especially if something as simple as that could have such a big effect. Not long after, the announcer called out the next person from the Ling family. He walked into the arena, looking focused and ready for whatever was about to happen. The girl with purple hair stood at the edge of the arena, her eyes fixed on the newcomer. She didn't smile or show any excitement, just kept her face serious, trying to figure out what this new competitor was all about. The girl shot her opponent a smug look, clearly not impressed. She acted like the Ling family had really lowered their standards this time, making it obvious she didn't take her rivals seriously at all. The MC's mom hears what the competitor does and gets really mad. She looks at him, annoyed, and thinks he's being super disrespectful. In her head, she's already decided this kid is just a brat with no manners. The little guy's sisters start to worry as soon as they spot who's hanging out with the Ling family. It's not just a quick glance. Something about the whole situation puts them on edge, and you can tell they're getting anxious. From up high they look down, their faces tense and uneasy. Their youngest sister shows up, wearing a maid outfit, blending in with the Ling group. The main guy starts to freak out. He realizes that if the Ling competitor messes up, his sister's going down too. The thought hits him hard, making his heart race. Everything feels like it's riding on this one moment, and he can't shake off the worry for his sister. The girl with short hair stands in the middle of the combat arena, staring down a massive, evil-looking boar. The thing is huge, way bigger than anything she's fought before, and it looks ready to charge at any second. She can feel her heart pounding, but she plants her feet and gets ready, knowing everyone's watching to see what she'll do next. The guy stands there, totally caught off guard. He can't help but think it's weird that she's just standing there too, not doing anything else. The grandfather and the butler shoot each other these sly looks, like they're both in on some secret plan. It's pretty clear they're up to something, and whatever it is, it probably isn't good news for everyone else. The giant monster gets ready to go after the girl, and her family just watches from their fancy box seats above. His mom suddenly feels a chill run through her. She figures out that the whole plan was for the beast to get rid of the other guy in the competition. The grandfather lets him in on a secret. Taking out a target isn't about being obvious. If you want to get rid of someone, you've got to make it look like pure chance, an accident, not a setup. That's how you stay out of trouble and keep everyone else guessing. He turned his attention to the arena, making it clear his daughter-in-law should keep her eyes on what was about to go down. The beast ran straight at the girl, not slowing down at all. She just stood there, not moving an inch, like she wasn't scared at all. The competitor flashes a cocky grin, thinking maybe the beast is already out of moves. The monster jumped forward, ready to attack. She quickly raised her hand and summoned a blue shield of magic, stopping the monster in its tracks. He shut down the beast's attack, using only a single finger. Right then, she channels her energy and hits the monster with a punch that glows blue. The girl stands her ground, her eyes locked on the beast in front of her. She doesn't flinch or back away. Instead, there's this steady determination in her gaze. Even though the creature looks dangerous, she refuses to show any fear, ready to face whatever comes next. The creature lets out a pained roar, as streams of fiery energy burst from its body. The animal catches fire all over, flames covering its whole body while the competitor steps back, trying to keep a safe distance. The grandfather and the butler just stood there, totally stunned by what they saw happen in the arena. Neither of them expected things to go down like that, and for a moment they couldn't even process it. It was one of those times when you just freeze, trying to make sense of everything, but your brain's still catching up. The beast suddenly lights up, its whole body glowing. Before anyone can react, it changes shape and turns into a massive, powerful mutant boar king that looks even tougher and more dangerous than before. The grandfather picks up on what's really going on, even though everyone else in the family just stands there, not really getting it. They watch quietly, but he's the only one who seems to get the bigger picture. The competitor grins to herself, feeling pretty good now that the monster's changed and taken out one of her rivals. The girl with purple hair is just sitting there, looking pretty deep in thought. She's watching everything going on around her, keeping a straight, serious face, like she's trying to figure something out. When things started to go sideways, the main guy and his sisters completely freaked out. Their hearts were racing, and nobody knew what to do. It felt like their brains just stopped working for a second, and all they could do was look at each other, hoping someone else had a plan. The hero figures he has to pull off his secret move if he doesn't want anyone to find out what he's up to. He latches on to his mom for a meal, totally ignoring that she's not thrilled about the timing. He suddenly spits out the milk he just drank. His mom was really mad. She shoved him back and started raising her voice, upset that he'd gotten spit on her again. The liquid sails through the air, landing with a splash that draws the monster's eyes up from the ground. The creature catches a whiff of the scent, and right away, it gets curious. Something about it grabs its attention, and now it's fully focused, wanting to know more. The giant boar charged straight at the woman, its body glowing with a weird pink energy. His mom stands there, totally stunned, not even sure what's going on this time. She grabbed the main guy, getting ready to throw him, while her sister stood by her side. Both of them looked up, bracing themselves as the beast came closer, ready for whatever was about to happen. The Ling girl stepped up, telling everyone to let her handle it. Some kind of weird energy started to gather in her hand. She focuses for a moment, and sharp thorns suddenly burst up from the ground, flying fast in every direction. Thorns twisted around the boar, locking it in place so it couldn't move at all. Both the grandfather and the butler just stood there, looking pretty surprised by what they were seeing. Their faces said it all. They definitely didn't expect any of this to happen. The mom just stands there, totally shocked. She can't believe what she's seeing and starts thinking about what kind of crazy power this could be. The grandfather thinks what he's seeing is pretty cool, but honestly he still believes his grandson did it better. Still, he can't help but notice that the girl is strong, her power's hard to ignore. The young competitor checks out her hand and notices it's now covered in red thorns. She can't help but wonder what this new power is all about. The girl with purple hair looked pretty shocked when she saw what her opponent could do. The competitor looked pretty grossed out, making it clear she wanted nothing to do with whatever was going on. Just the thought of getting involved made her cringe. The grandfather lets him know that this power can actually beat stronger creatures by slowly draining their energy. The power sucks the life right out of the boar, leaving behind nothing but bones. The butler isn't sure what to do about her and looks for some guidance. But the head of the family already has something else in mind, and he's not about to share his plan just yet. He glances over at his grandson, who's sitting in his mom's arms with his two sisters right beside him. The old man's goal is pretty clear. He wants his grandson to marry the girl. He's not really thinking about love or anything. He just wants a connection to the Ling family's fortune. Her little sister started freaking out, yelling for her to let the guy go. Haired sister was curious about the youngest and wanted to know how she ended up hanging out with the huntress. Eyes start to water, and she just stands there, too upset to say anything. The redhead gets annoyed and starts scolding the little one for taking off without saying anything. The little girl notices the gentle taps from her big sister. The main guy steps in, stopping everyone before things get out of hand. He makes it clear that this isn't the right moment for whatever they were about to do. Word was spreading fast that the redhead's Ling family was on the verge of disappearing for good. The huntress just grins like she's not surprised at all. It's obvious she already knew what was going on. The guy and his sisters just freeze, totally caught off guard. They weren't expecting this at all, and it shows on their faces. The girl from the Tang family looked serious, letting them know she was in a hurry. She clearly had something important she needed to get off her chest, and it seemed like she couldn't wait much longer. Everyone leans in, paying close attention. She wonders if the guys have already unlocked their abilities. The main guy and his sisters just stop in their tracks when the question hits. It's like time stands still for a second, and nobody knows what to say or how to react. Everyone just nodded, showing they agreed. She tells them that somehow they've ended up with weird new powers. His future wife smiled at him, her eyes bright with curiosity. She wondered if he actually believed that miracles could happen, like she was testing how much hope he still had. All of them shook their heads, almost at the same time, making it look kind of funny. Future wife wraps her arms around him, holding him close. She knows that good things don't come easy, and sometimes, when something amazing happens, there's always something tough that comes with it. Trey just stands there, totally stunned. Little curls up in the huntress's lap, getting comfortable. He looks relaxed and safe, like he trusts her completely. The main character gets a little confused and tries to figure out what she's talking about. The young woman explains that the little girl had lost her siblings and was now by herself. Suddenly, Little spots her sisters getting dragged off. It all happens so fast, and she barely has time to react. Her heart drops as she realizes what's going on, feeling a mix of shock and worry for them. She was on her own when she figured out something crazy. Her special power was being able to take other people's abilities for herself. She now had a way to take the special powers and abilities that belonged to other people. In a world that already felt out of control, she ended up as the villain everyone wanted to avoid. In the end, she managed to find a way to return to the past, even though it meant losing everything she'd worked for. She let go of all her power just so she could start over. She came back, determined to help the people she cared about the most. MC couldn't believe what he just heard. The idea that Little might actually be back left him stunned, his mind racing to make sense of it. The whole thing felt unreal, and for a second he wondered if he was just imagining things. But the possibility stuck with him, making his heart beat a little faster. The little girl gives a quick, nervous nod, barely meeting anyone's eyes. She looks like she'd rather disappear than be noticed right now. The huntress just laughs, not taking things too seriously. In her eyes, the little girl isn't as innocent as she looks. She figures there's something kind of intense about her, almost like there's a hidden side nobody expects. In her past life, had a reputation that made everyone nervous around her. She was the kind of person people wanted to avoid, mostly because she always seemed one step ahead and way tougher than anyone else. The young wife explains that the system interface everyone sees is actually something created in their mind's eye. The three siblings stared at their screens, all trying to figure out what was going on. None of them really got it yet, but they kept looking, hoping something would make sense soon. She kept talking, letting them know that each time they used the system, it took a bit more of energy. While she talked, Little, who was sitting down, suddenly gave off a strange vibe. Her research is the reason they have those special powers now. In her last life, she pushed herself to the edge, facing challenges that almost took her out, all for this one goal. The hero started thinking about his own powers and wondered how she got hers. He couldn't help but be curious about this whole divine awakening thing and wanted to know more about her experience with it. The young woman let him know that had given up her own power just to keep him safe when things got risky. She snuck her way into the heart of the city, getting close to the people in charge. After a lot of close calls, she managed to take down the leader of the Mew family. She went through a lot to get that power. It wasn't easy. She had to push through tough times and deal with things most people can't even imagine. Every step was a struggle, but she kept moving forward, never backing down. After figuring this out, everyone rushed toward. Everyone gathered around, wrapping him up in a group hug. Everyone crowded together, feeling a mix of happiness and something deeper. The moment felt special, with a quiet kind of warmth passing between them. No one wanted to let go, and for a second, it was like the world slowed down just for them. Little tears up, feeling super happy to finally be with her siblings again. The panel shows a rundown bar that looks like it hasn't seen a good day in years. Some weird music is playing in the background, adding to the sketchy vibe. Inside the club, a girl is up on stage, showing off her moves on the pole. Out of nowhere, a dude walked over and started trying to get her attention. The girl with two different colored eyes gives the guy a grateful look and calls him, showing she trusts him. Out of nowhere, the woman lifts her leg and brings it close to the guy's face, catching everyone off guard. The guy barely hesitates and leans in, catching a whiff of her foot. Honestly, he thinks it smells pretty awesome. A guy with green hair walked up, looking at Blondie like he couldn't believe what he'd just seen. He seemed pretty confused, almost like he was trying to figure out if Blondie was actually serious or just messing around. He suddenly goes quiet, feeling a weird heaviness settle in. It hits him that something isn't right inside, like he's not himself anymore. Right then, the guy feels his head start to spin. The two of them finally let their real plans show, grinning in a way that made it clear something bad was about to happen. The guy looks scared, hoping they'll just leave him alone and not mess with him. Blondie sat in a dim basement, his hands tied behind his back. The same woman from earlier was there, messing with him and making sure he couldn't get away. He looked frustrated and a bit scared, not sure what she was planning next. The whole vibe felt tense, like something bad might happen if he didn't figure out a way out soon. He stands over them, fists ready, looking tough. He shoots a confident grin at the guy who's tied up, making it clear who's in control. A butler suddenly showed up out of nowhere, giving off a weird, mysterious vibe. He made it clear he wanted to know everything. No secrets, no holding back, just the whole story laid out. The butler stands there, his face looking tough and serious. The guy looked desperate, trying to save himself. He seemed scared and wanted everyone to know he was only there because he had a job to do. He was supposed to stop a bunch of monsters from causing chaos. The old man looks at him and waits, wanting him to keep going. After beating those beasts, the guy ended up with some cash in his pocket. The old man's face turns red with anger. He's clearly ticked off, thinking this guy never should mess with his kid. The guy looked pretty stressed. He tried to defend himself, insisting he wasn't the one responsible. He pointed out that it was actually 3 people in masks who did it, not him. The old man started wondering about the group. He wanted to know who they were, where they showed up from, and what their names might be. He really had no idea what happened. He was standing pretty far off, just watching from a distance. All he noticed were 2 girls and a little kid. The old man couldn't believe what he just heard. He found out that it was actually 2 girls and a kid, and the news totally caught him off guard. For a second, he just stood there, trying to process it, not expecting something like that at all. He wanted to know which team the guy played for, and who was leading them. The old guy in the suit suddenly finds out he's on the red pomegranate team, and it totally catches him off guard. He wasn't expecting that at all. He thinks back and suddenly remembers a portal, where some seriously strong monsters are hanging out. The man glanced back, spotting the woman he'd talked to earlier. He nodded at her, making it clear she should look after the other guy. The prisoner lets out a desperate scream, feeling totally hopeless because he knows the promise to set him free has been broken. The guy takes a hard hit right in the face from someone's chunky platform shoe. The woman presses her foot against his face, holding it there. The old man remembered his promise not to mess with the guy, but he still felt like he had to prove a point. Even if he didn't want to, he thought showing what happens if you cross him was necessary. He heads for the stairs, gives one last look around, and walks out of the basement. One second he's standing somewhere else, and the next, he's up on a rooftop in the middle of the night. The city lights stretch out below him, everything quiet except for the distant hum of traffic. The air's cool up here, and for a moment it feels like the whole world is asleep except for him. A guy heads across the rooftop, taking steady steps. He glances down and notices a few cracks spreading across the ground. The old man crouches down, checking out the cracks in the ground. He brushes his hand over them, kind of curious. Out of nowhere, the ground lights up with this weird energy. Not wasting any time, he heads off to another spot in the building to see what's going on there. He thinks it over for a bit, and then figures out what's really going on. Back then, he was there, holding the protagonist's little sister in his arms while she was hurt. He realizes this might actually matter, and now he wants to make sure he's right. The story heads back to the bar under that bright neon sign. Inside, a woman dances for the customers, moving with confidence and catching everyone's attention. A guy with green hair steps into the room. He spots the butler and calls him Lord, which is kind of odd. The butler looks a bit surprised, but tries to keep his cool. The whole vibe in the room shifts, and it's clear something unusual is going on. The butler sat back, enjoying his warm drink while he watched the young guy walk in. He looked up, curious to see if the kid had picked up any news or clues since the last time they talked. The guy pulls out his phone and shows a picture, letting everyone know it wasn't easy finding the person he was after. He explains that the target was just a D-rank guy who lived with his 3 sisters, but he died about 6 months back. The camera zooms in on an old photo showing the hero from his past life. He looks genuinely happy, surrounded by 3 girls. There's a sense that these were good times, memories that probably feel both distant and important to him now. It's the kind of snapshot someone might keep on their phone or post if they wanted to remember when things felt simpler. The Lord studies the photo and remembers that everything in it went down about 6 months back. He suddenly remembers that this was when the main character's parents left to track down the family's beast. The next few panels show snapshots from the mission where everything went sideways for the hero. You can see the chaos as things start to fall apart, leading up to the moment when a monster appears, changing everything for him. The butler suddenly thinks about the 2 girls who helped out the young guy earlier. He also remembers the treasure the kid managed to grab. Back in the present, the green-haired guy gets handed a bright blue orb that's glowing with energy. He handed the item over to his boss and showed his appreciation for the reward he got. The butler gives one last look, his face set and determined. He turns around and walks away, already thinking about how he'll make things right for his son. Next, the focus shifts to a baby bottle filled with milk sitting on the table. In the room, one of the sisters noticed the guy just sitting there, eyes locked on the baby bottle in front of him. He looked lost in thought, not really paying attention to anything else going on. The sister could tell something was up with him, and she kept glancing over, trying to figure out what was going on inside his head. His sister watches him closely, her eyes locked on him, fully focused on what he's doing. The main guy can't help but notice something weird. Regular folks always seem to hit a wall at B rank, but the nobles just keep going higher. His sister got down on one knee and told him that B rank was as far as humans could go. She also mentioned that the system everyone followed was actually made by the noble families. She goes on to explain that the whole point was to make it seem like they're better than everyone, like they're supposed to be in charge. Both of them freeze for a second, trying to process what just happened. She goes on to explain that she figured this out in her past life, and that really throws them off. It's not every day you hear something like that, and they're left with a bunch of questions, trying to wrap their heads around it. Back in time, the little girl used to be one of the big villains, someone nobody wanted to mess with. Turns out, over in the capital, the families there have always had the inside scoop on how to hit S rank. She keeps going, letting him know that the 8 biggest clans, the ones running everything, are keeping some serious secrets about reaching the next level. The hero didn't expect that. He's caught off guard, thinking about what could possibly come after S rank. The girl snapped back, her frustration showing as she said she had no idea. She explained that the Awakened were basically treated like human batteries, their energy just used up by others to make themselves stronger. She admits she once wanted to destroy everything, but after figuring out a way to save her brother, she returned with the Huntress. The main guy grabs her hands and makes a promise to always stay by her side, letting her know he's not going anywhere this time. His sister let him know she wasn't going to just stand back. She and the rest of the group were ready to jump in and have his back, no matter what came their way. She starts to smile, even though her eyes are watery. As the hero stands by her side, she feels a bit better with him there. Out of nowhere, bursts through the door, cutting off the calm moment. It's clear something big just happened, and whatever it is, it's about to pull everyone into a mess they didn't see coming. The sudden interruption catches the boy and his sister off guard. Both of them freeze for a second, looking around and trying to figure out what just went down. It lets everyone know that the family's old butler showed up, bringing someone along. When they hear the news, the 2 siblings glance at each other, both clearly uneasy. She lets out a sly smile and shares that the guy who says he's the main character's mom's old friend is actually her butler. The guy tried to figure out why that information mattered right now. He wondered what it had to do with the trouble everyone seemed to be talking about. His thinks it's pretty suspicious that the butler would bring someone claiming to be Lady's friend. Somewhere else in the house, sat with a maid who was showing her how to act properly. The maid seemed pretty serious about manners and rules and tried to pay attention, even though she looked a bit bored by it all. The employee, who looked pretty serious, let her know that training was about to start, and the first thing they'd focus on was how she stood. She looked uninterested, barely reacting as she responded. She didn't seem excited at all, just letting him know she understood before turning her attention elsewhere. The maid noticed her with her hands in her pockets and wasn't having it. That was definitely against the house rules, and she made sure to point it out, not exactly going easy on her either. She gets pretty annoyed and wonders who this employee thinks she is, grabbing her like that. In the corner, the maid starts showing off, letting everyone know she's close with Lady. Meanwhile, behind her, a couple of guards are pulling a young guy away, not really giving him a chance to protest. The camera zooms in on the silver-haired man. He's yelling, his face twisted in anger, while security pulls him away. The maid just brushes off the interruption, acting like these things happen all the time. She doesn't seem bothered and keeps reminding herself that, no matter what, the engagement is what really matters right now. She's just over it. All the drama, all the noise, she's had enough. She lets out a long sigh, not even trying to hide how done she is, and shows that she got the point. Quietly lets a small red object slip from her hand, making sure no one notices. The object suddenly darts through the air, heading straight for the guy who's being pulled away. The item clings to the collar of his shirt. Right after, a small white flower grows out of the object, turning it into something that can pick up sounds. It gives a quick smile as a matching flower pops up on her ear, letting her tune into what's happening. She listens through the flower and catches the man getting angry at the butler, trying to find out who sent him. After sneaking around and checking things out, they came back into the room. She looked over at the 2 siblings, ready to see what would happen next. He grinned, curious if the phantom blood vine could do more than just its usual stuff, maybe even help with spying. She smiles, remembering how she used to be well known as a pair of assassins. The protagonist's sister wanted to know what she'd found out so far. She wonders if that guy is someone his mom is dating, and if his mom has dated a lot of people before. He looks caught off guard when the question comes up, his eyebrows shooting up as he tries to process what he just heard. He remembers clearly now, back when he was just a kid, not even born yet, he saw her with her boyfriend. The memory settles in and it all makes sense to him. He remembers how, after that, she would always bring him along whenever she wanted to see the other guy. His mom carried him in her arms, glancing around carefully as she moved forward. He remembers seeing his mom get dragged into a fitting room by that guy. The man pulls her in for a hug. She leans into him, looking tired, and starts talking about how the kid never stops eating and how exhausting it is to keep up with everything. Right after that, things get pretty close between the 2 of them. At the same time, the guy being held in her arms looked super uncomfortable. His face said it all. He clearly didn't know what to do with himself in that moment. Things start heating up fast, and the guy's just left there, sweating and feeling totally out of place. Back in the present, his tells him that this kind of thing is pretty normal, even mentioning that his dad has girlfriends too. The main guy starts thinking about the butler's actions. He can't figure out why the butler would lock someone up if this kind of thing happens all the time. It just doesn't add up in his head and makes him even more confused about what's really going on. When she hears the question, his sister goes quiet for a moment. She starts thinking hard, her eyes drifting off as she tries to figure things out. The whole situation suddenly feels heavier to her, and it's clear she's deep in thought, unsure of what to say next. She glances over at the guy's friend, hoping he might have some clue about what's going on. His sister brings up a thought that's been bugging her. What if the family doesn't think he's actually their son? His nodded, thinking it made sense. There wasn't really any other reason they'd call him in like that. After hearing the news, the guy stands there with his arms crossed, clearly not happy about it. His face says it all. He's pretty irritated. He pauses for a second, then flashes a confident smirk at the girls, like he knows exactly what he's doing. He reassures his sister, letting her know he's got things under control with his reincarnation power. His sister looks at him, caught off guard. She didn't expect him to speak up like that, and her cheeks turn a little red as she watches him. The sister smiled and nodded, showing she agreed with what he said. Just then, the bedroom door swings open, cutting off whatever the three of them were talking about. Someone suddenly screams really loud, making all three guys snap their heads toward the door, totally caught off guard. Out of nowhere, the door swings open, and one of the sisters rushes inside. She's out of breath and lets him know that Master wants to see him. Showed up with a confident smile, looking like he was ready to take charge now that they had finally gotten there. The white-haired sister looks around, not really sure what's going on. She tries to figure out who just showed up and what the other girl means. The steps in, leaning closer to the MC's sister. He quietly says something just for her, and whatever it is, it catches her off guard. She freezes, eyes wide, not sure what to do next. His sister started to get anxious, wondering if someone might be after her brother. The main guy goes on to share that this dude started telling people he was having an affair with his mom. His explains that the family looked after the butler's brother almost like he was their own kid, and they're really serious about how people see them. Sister Yi couldn't shake off her concern. She kept thinking about how families in the upper class could be really sneaky, always hiding their real intentions. Even if things seemed okay on the surface, she knew she had to be careful. They stayed close, making sure she knew they were right there with her. The little master wasn't on his own. He had them by his side, and that made things a little easier to handle. The kid steps up and tries to get everyone to relax. He lets them know that if they don't do something soon, things are just going to spiral. He turns to his sister and lets her know he wants to go, acting pretty chill about the whole thing. He doesn't have a solid plan and figures they'll just see what happens once they get there. She scoops him up and heads out of the room, leaving the other two standing there just watching her go. She leads him into a room where her grandfather is sitting back in an armchair. She lets her grandfather know he's here, and the old man looks up, waiting to see what this is all about. The head of the family casually waves his hand, signaling the young maid that she can leave. She quietly steps out of the room, not making a fuss, while he stays focused on whatever's on his mind. The grandfather pulls his grandson onto his lap. The kid looks up at him and grins, happy to be close. Off to the side, his sister stands back, watching the two of them hang out. Haired sister drops her head, clearly anxious about what might come next. Sitting on his grandfather's lap, the boy shook his head, letting her know he had things under control. The sister got the message and gave a polite bow. As soon as she walks out, the main guy is left standing there with just the other two. Right then, the main character's dad storms into the room, clearly annoyed and raising his voice, wanting to know why the old man called him over so suddenly. The grandfather stood up, clearly annoyed. He just couldn't understand why his son never seemed to take anything seriously. To him, it looked like all his son did was mess around, without even handling basic stuff at home. His dad tries to explain himself, saying he was only doing the kind of networking his boss always wanted. Meanwhile, in another room, the guy dating the main character's mom is getting roughed up by someone no one's seen before. The grandfather showed up in the basement with his son and the little MC. The butler was already there, waiting for them. The guys walk in and spot the mom's boyfriend. He's all tied up, looking rough with bruises on his face. The head of the family turns to the butler and motions for him to take the baby. The baby just keeps smiling, totally chill about everything going on. The older man carefully passes his grandson over to the employee, who accepts the boy with an easy smile. The young guy held in the butler's arms shoots him a wary glance. Meanwhile, the old man's smile hints at something off, making the whole moment feel tense. The grandfather wanted to know if the prisoner had talked yet, but the butler just shook his head. Nothing new, still quiet. The main character's dad leaned forward, clearly unimpressed, and wanted to know what the other guy had been talking about so confidently. The grandfather explained that the guy had been showing off about cheating with his own daughter-in-law, and he did it right in front of everyone, not even trying to hide it from his own family. The main character's dad is seriously angry. He storms around, thinking about how his friends might see him because of what that woman did. His reputation matters a lot to him, and now he's determined to handle the situation himself. The grandfather interrupts him, making it clear that the arranged marriage was something the family put a lot of effort into, and he isn't about to let that go easily. The guy tries to rush ahead, but the head of the family quickly steps in, holding him back before he can make a move he'll regret. So the grandfather decides it's time to settle everything. He tells them to do a DNA test on the prisoner and his grandson, wanting to get the truth once and for all. The butler lifts up the young master. The kid can't help but smile. Things are falling into place just like he wanted. He picks the boy up and sets him down on the table. The boy looks tense, probably trying to act brave even though he's clearly nervous about what's coming next. The butler quietly pulls out a small device and gently pricks the guy's finger, taking a little bit of his blood. He looked over at the prisoner. Since they had nothing to do with each other, he figured there was no reason to hold back. The butler lets everyone know that his son's death means his other kids are now in danger too. RMC just stands there, frozen and wide-eyed, trying to process what he's just heard. The old man's face suddenly changes, his eyes glowing red, and that's when the kid finally gets it. It was the old man all along. The truth hits him out of nowhere and he freezes up. Sweat starts rolling down his forehead as the whole situation sinks in. It's like his brain can't keep up with what's happening, and he stands there, heart pounding, trying to figure out what comes next. The butler glances back, his face unreadable and serious, staying focused on whatever he's planning next. He doesn't waste time or show any emotion, just gets right back to what he was doing, completely set on making sure his plan works. The young guy can't help but notice how sure of himself the butler looks, even though he knows the test is probably going to fail. It's like the butler knows something everyone else doesn't, and that makes the whole thing even more confusing for him. Right at that moment, the machine lets out a beep. The old man looks over, grinning, and says the results are ready. Sooner sits there, wiping his sweaty palms on his jeans, his eyes locked on the envelope with the DNA test results. His leg can't stop bouncing, and he keeps glancing around the room, hoping for some kind of distraction. But nothing helps. The weight is making his stomach twist, and he can't shake off the nerves as he wonders what the results will say. The main character's dad waited, looking over as the butler glanced at the paper. Everyone seemed to hang on the next few seconds, wondering what news they'd get. The grandfather stands nearby, his face set and serious as he keeps an eye on everything. The boy can feel the pressure and start to tense up, knowing how much his grandfather's opinion matters right now. The butler smiled as he let the master know the test came back negative, giving him a quick nod of approval. The prisoner, clearly desperate, tries to explain himself, insisting he's not the one they're looking for. He's scared, doing everything he can to convince them to let him go. The guy's dad just shrugs it off, not bothered at all by what's happening to the prisoner. The butler wanted to know what they should do with the guy, since they didn't want anything messing up the family's reputation. The head of the family looks straight at the prisoner, his eyes cold and serious. The boy's dad turns to him, making it clear he wants to check if his own son is all right, just to make sure everything's good. The hero's mind races as he stands there, totally lost about what to do next. His heart pounds, and he can't figure out where to start or how to handle what's happening. The butler came over and took a blood sample from the boy's dad. Right after that, he walks over to the little master, holding the blood sample in his hand. Trying to stall, the guy suddenly bursts into tears, acting like he's really freaked out by the sight of the needle. The butler starts to look nervous, and a bead of sweat slides down his cheek. The grandfather reached out and took his grandson's hand, guiding it toward the vial of blood. Sitting on his grandfather's lap, the boy holds his grandpa's hand tight, his mind racing about what he should do next. While he's thinking, his advice pops into his head, reminding him to keep his cool so he doesn't blow his cover. He takes a breath, thinking things through. Even though he's nervous, he decides to go for it. He holds out his hand, letting the butler get ready to draw his blood. The butler steps forward and carefully takes the blood from the main character, who's being held close by his grandfather. The old man grabs both samples and puts them into the machine, getting the test started. The machine let out a beep and started printing the DNA test results. The main character's dad couldn't sit still, waiting for an answer. He turned to the butler, hoping to hear how things turned out. The butler stares down at the paper, his hands starting to shake. He can't hide how rattled he is. His eyes are wide, and it's clear whatever he's reading just threw him off big time. He can't wrap his head around what's happening. It just doesn't make sense to him, and his mind starts racing, trying to figure out if this is really real. The kid could tell something was off. He knew the guy was just pretending, and in his head, he labeled him a sly fox, not falling for any of it. The butler moved fast, passing the results straight to the boy's dad. The man grabs the paper and looks at it carefully, trying to figure out what's written on it. His eyes light up bright green, and all at once, anger rushes over him. He freezes for a second, caught off guard by what just happened, but the rage on his face says it all. He suddenly shouts that he's done with the boy and the woman, then charges straight at them. Just as he lunges forward, his grandfather steps in, raising his voice and bringing everything to a halt before anything can happen. The grandfather suddenly steps forward and slaps the hero's dad hard across the face. The sound echoes in the room, leaving everyone frozen for a second. The guy stands there, totally caught off guard by the old man's sudden slap. He stares at him, trying to figure out what just happened, and why the old man would do something like that. Confused, he waits for some kind of explanation, his mind racing. The butler stood off to the side, eyes wide as he took in everything happening in front of him. He couldn't believe what he was seeing, and for a moment he just froze, not sure how to react. The head of the family just shook his head, looking at him like he was clueless. He wasn't surprised at all. He'd already known about everything this whole time. The hero's dad tries to explain himself, calling it networking. Honestly, that excuse is kind of wild, but that's what he goes with, moving on with the story. The grandfather's face turned serious. He looked at everyone and made it clear that anything that could embarrass the family just wasn't okay. The guy's dad started to wonder if it was even worth helping his son, or if maybe it'd be easier to just act like they didn't see anything and not use up their time and money on him. The grandfather looked at the boy, realizing just how much the kid had used up, food, supplies, all sorts of things. He figured it was about time for the boy to take on a new challenge, something bigger, an evolution mission. The main character's dad looks over, confused about what the old man just said. He's trying to figure out if there's something he missed, wanting to know exactly what the old guy meant. The grandfather lets him know that if he makes it through this, there's a real chance he could be really important to the family one day. He mentions that, no matter what, he and his wife are planning to have another kid. His dad totally loses it, yelling about how much he can't stand that woman, and saying he's not letting her get away with anything. Grandpa just smacks him hard across the face, no hesitation. He just stood there, totally caught off guard, wondering what made the old man smack him again. He held his grandson close, shaking his head and calling him out for being clueless. Then, he started talking about the family alliances, like it was all just business as usual. He thinks his daughter-in-law should have a bunch of kids, so the family name keeps going. The kid's dad, totally freaked out, just nods his head. While everyone's distracted, the baby just chills in his grandpa's arms, acting like he's out cold and nobody catches on. The butler, guys, he's got this dead serious look, just staring at that stone, like he's totally locked in on whatever plan he's cooking up. The prisoner, all tied up, looks straight up scared and just wants to know if he can bounce. Grandpa tells the staff to get rid of the guy, and the butler just nods, ready to handle it. As the group heads off, the guy left behind just begs to not get left there, desperate for any help he can get. He figures out that acting cute is his best move right now. If he plays it right, his enemies won't see him as a threat and might chill out around him. Grandpa picks up the little guy, and honestly, he looks like he's having the time of his life. Right then, his dad storms in, clearly pissed about how much stuff they've been burning through. His grandpa just shut him down and told him to get back to his room with his wife. The kid's dad nods along with what the old man says, and you can tell he's straight up annoyed. Grandpa watches the kid, thinking everything about his future is riding on how he does right now. Not long after, the white-haired sister brought the kid back to his room. When he shows up, the other girls are already there, waiting to hear what happened. Turns out, the hero finally lets everyone know the butler was actually running the whole operation from the start. They just freeze, not really believing what he did, and start wondering what made him go for it. He shares how the butler discovered the truth about his son and decided to set him up. The redhead sister totally freaks out. She jumps to her feet, thinking they've gotta grab their stuff and dip ASAP. Steps in and holds her back, basically telling her to relax since they'd barely make it anywhere if they tried. The redhead tightens her fists, ready to throw down since running isn't an option. She's locked in, ready to go all out if that's what it takes. The other two guys didn't waste a second. They grabbed her, making sure she didn't do anything wild. His wonders out loud how those three sisters ended up being so different. He just shoots her a quick smile and doesn't say anything right away, keeping things quiet for a second. He was always the one making sure everyone else was good, so it made sense she was the most mature out of the group. That ended up making act even more innocent and kind of clueless. Back then would always trail after them, basically copying whatever they did. His thinks they're a solid match and believes starting a family with him was honestly the best thing ever. She zones out, thinking about how she never really got why made that choice before. Now it looks like he's finally getting what went down. She looks over at them, smiling, honestly a bit jealous of how close they are. The little guy lights up and can't help but grin after his drops that comment. He suddenly switches gears, looking focused and wanting to know what their next move is, since they're safe for now. His starts clapping her hands to get everyone's attention and tells them it's time for a family meeting. The three sisters were messing around on the floor when they suddenly stopped and glanced up at her, not really sure what was going on. Wondered when all of a sudden they became a family, and he started ranting to San about it. Says she's basically part of the family already, and checks to see if Little is on the same page. The three sisters look at her and just get instantly annoyed. They can't believe she's got the guts to act like that right in front of them. A second later, his sisters, clearly mad, grabbed him and dragged him out before he even knew what was happening. They let him know he doesn't really need a sister-in-law, and everyone's basically saying they're sticking together for good. Little totally freezes up, caught off guard by everything that's happening. He's got no clue what to say, just standing there awkward. He's had enough. He shoots his sisters a glare, wanting them to quit arguing on the spot. He tells the three of them to sit, and they drop into their seats right away. The two sisters just sat there, cheeks puffed up, both clearly annoyed after getting told off. Watching everything go down, his totally loses it and starts laughing out loud. The main guy starts wondering if he hasn't kept them in check for so long that now they're just wild. His lightly taps his head, thinking he just doesn't get what they're about. He fires back, saying he's been there since they were kids, so obviously he gets them better than anyone. His shot him a quick wink, basically letting him know he just doesn't get girls at all. The three sisters just looked completely defeated after that. He gets irritated and lets her know he's not a little kid, since he's actually a lot older than he looks. Everybody grabs a spot on the floor, ready to kick off the family meeting. He finds out from his that the noble clans are the ones running the whole evolution game. The hero and his sisters are locked in, paying close attention as she lays it all out for them. She thinks families like hers are just there to be used, and that everything really starts when someone eats this rare fruit. People say this fruit comes from other worlds, and it's protected by some insanely strong monsters. His tells him that this fruit is so wild, even dragons guard it. When hears that, she gets mad, thinking they're just tossing their brother into a mess he can't handle. The MCs points out that coming from the future means they've already got this handled. She points out that if they stick to what they're good at and back each other up, they'll make it through. The whole crew nods, they're all in. That night back at the family mansion, his dad pulled up looking pretty ticked off. He's drinking a lot, just drifting by himself through the huge house. He drags himself over to his wife's bedroom door, barely keeping it together. He doesn't even pause, just slams his foot into the door and storms straight in. The kid's mom is hanging out in the pool with one of her maids. The woman was seriously mad and told her husband to leave the house because he stunk of alcohol. The husband suddenly rushed at her and went for a kick. The maid suddenly steps in, throwing her leg out just in time to stop the hit. The hit sends the maid flying straight into the pool. His mom just started yelling at his dad, wanting to know what he was even thinking. He grabs her tight and calls her a little vixen, saying it straight to her face. Thinking back to his grandpa's serious look, he remembers how he always said not to mess up the family's reputation. He thinks back to when his grandpa told him it was basically time to have another kid with his wife, no matter what was going on. The husband slides in next to her, pulling her clothes. He points out that it's been a minute since she's really looked out for him. He yanks the towel off his wife without thinking twice. He suddenly pulls the fabric off, leaving her totally exposed in the pool. The woman totally loses it and yells at her husband, demanding to know what he's up to. He rips his shirt off, ready to go, saying they're about to have more kids. He's fully convinced it's what both their families need. They both jump into the pool and start messing around, splashing water and having fun together. Her toes sink into the water while the two of them stay locked in, just chilling in their own world.
The red-haired girl lets everyone know this trial isn't some easy challenge. They've got to get ready for whatever's about to go down. When he heard that, the guy decided they should split up. He was locked in on grabbing the miraculous milk, basically a legit healing potion so he could handle things. While all this is going on, the black-haired maid lets everyone know she's about to step out and grab some equipment they'll need for the mission coming up. He tells his sisters to watch what the butler's up to around the mansion. Both maids are down for the plan and decide they'll watch the guy, making sure he doesn't mess things up. He gets set for his task, securing a milk storage bottle to himself. He heads over to his mom's room and starts making random baby sounds, trying to get her to notice him. His dad started yelling from inside, going off on the woman about how she argues with the baby over milk literally every day. He thinks it's pretty weird how his dad still listens to the old guy, especially after all the stuff that's gone down. The boy with 6 fingers realizes he can't mess around. He's gotta get milk ASAP. He charges up, then shoots through the door so fast it's like a flash of yellow lightning. Rushes straight over to his mom without hesitating. His mom walks in, totally caught off guard, and just wants to know what these two are up to, especially since she's got a leak to deal with. The dad shoots this angry look, while the guy's face is just dripping with the milk he grabbed a second ago. Back in the day, the grandfather looked at his son and couldn't believe how much money he'd blown just throwing parties. He was clearly disappointed, seeing all those family savings go down the drain for nothing. The boy's dad is clearly annoyed. Getting called out by his own dad for throwing too many parties and blowing cash definitely put him in a bad mood. He's still annoyed, but that doesn't stop him. He moves closer and starts drinking the breast milk anyway. Their mom just loses it, yelling that both of them are out of their minds, and their non-stop arguing is seriously pushing her over the edge. While all this is going down, the girls are out in town, checking out shops and picking up stuff they'll need for the mission. They pull up to a shop, but this massive dude blocks the way and basically tells them to bounce, making it clear the spot isn't for kids. The black-haired maid nodded along with her friend, thinking guys like him always act like they're better than everyone else. The shopkeeper instantly loses his cool after hearing what they said. He's got his fist up, looking like he's about to throw hands at the two girls, not even hesitating. Right before he can react, a random bag of coins comes flying out of nowhere and nails the big guy straight in the face. The bag smacks him right on the nose and blood starts dripping. He's instantly pissed. He glances down at the counter and spots the bag, gold coins spread out everywhere, catching the light. The second he spots the cash, his whole vibe flips. Suddenly he's all awkward and tries to apologize for everything he messed up. She flashes a confident smile, letting him know it's time to show the real deal. She's not here for any of the weak stuff cluttering his shop, she wants the best he's got. Back at the mansion, the maids acted like they were busy cleaning, but really they were watching the butler as he walked down the hallway. They trail the guy from a ways back, keeping an eye on him. They move in together, stopping right in front of the shut door. Neither of them really knows what to do now, so they just pause there, kind of stuck. They both lean in and put their ears right up to the door, trying to catch whatever's going on inside. Inside, the grandfather stands right in the center of this magic circle, pouring out his energy. A massive blazing portal starts to open up in front of him. Everyone could tell the grandfather thought his grandson had some serious skills, like next-level stuff. But he also believed the kid needed to face a real challenge if he wanted to level up for real. He starts to catch on. They're trying to clear everyone out just to show off the family's fresh hairstyle. The red-haired girl looked confident, grinning as she let everyone know she had our guys back for the trip. The group heads straight for the huge red portal, ready to take on whatever wild stuff the trial has waiting for them. The grandfather and the butler stood back, just watching them from afar. Right then, the butler flashes this creepy grin, like he's got something up his sleeve that nobody else knows about. The group steps into a brand new world, and right away the place looks wild. There are glowing plants everywhere, and way up on the mountain, there's a lake just chilling at the top. The girls just take it all in. The place looks straight up awesome. The red-haired maid can't help but think this other world is actually stunning. He reminds everyone to keep their guard up since nowhere around here is actually safe. Wants to know where the evolution fruit is, and learns they've got to track down the beast that's protecting it. He nods at, appreciating how she kept everyone in the loop. After that, Yu lifts up her dress, getting set to kick off the plan they made. She pulls up her pant leg and shows off a bunch of milk bottles strapped around her thigh, kind of like she's rocking her own milk utility belt. She chucks one of the bottles down to the floor. The group breaks apart fast, with everyone taking off to get to their spots. He and the girl ducked behind some massive rocks by the lake, trying to stay out of sight. On the other side, the two maids crouched behind a big rock, staying hidden and waiting to see if the plan would actually go through. Milk from the busted bottle leaks everywhere, covering the floor like it's bacon sizzling in a pan. Right then, the red-haired girl hit him up with a message. She let him know something was going down. Right after that, the lake's surface started going wild with ripples and bubbles popping up everywhere. Everything went according to plan, and now the fruit's guardian creature is finally heading their way. Out of nowhere, this massive purple snake comes up from the water. Its scales look tough, almost like it's wearing armor, and its eyes are glowing blue. The creature just stands there, eyes glued to the milk that's all over the sand. The huge serpent glides through the water, heading straight for the bait the group set up. It moves slow and steady, totally locked in on the target. He jumps a little when his screen flashes a message, calling out the beast as some kind of high-level venom snake. The red-haired girl points out that it's only an A rank, and since they already took down a B rank before, she figures this one shouldn't be a big deal. He thinks she's clueless, pointing out how the other side is way stronger, so there's basically zero chance they can win. The other girl wasn't expecting Yi to actually know what that rare creature was. She was caught off guard that he recognized it right away. He knew his skills weren't great, so he just went all in on studying, grinding every day. It was the only way he could make it through and hopefully see his sisters again. Back in the day, he was always grinding, throwing hands when he had to and hitting the books just as hard. All of it was for his 3 little sisters, making sure they were good no matter what. When the girls hear his story, they get really emotional and start flooding the chat with crying emojis. He shoots over a message, telling him to check out what's going on with the giant serpent's body. The older girl spots it too and gets pretty annoyed that out of everywhere, it just had to show up on that weird creature. He couldn't believe what just happened and kept running it back in his head, trying to figure out how things even got to this point. The massive snake just hangs there, not moving, right in the middle of the lake. Sitting right on top of the beast's head, there's this evolution fruit, shining bright like a mini golden sun. Their whole plan to distract the beast and snag the fruit quietly just got wrecked, because now the fruit's literally chilling right on top of the monster's head. Right then, the maid comes up with a plan to slowly wear down the serpent using her ability, hoping they can eventually take it out. He tries to break it down, letting them know the creature's just way too strong and quick for him. His power barely keeps it under control, and he's struggling to hang on. The hero motions for everyone to chill, while the serpent loses it over the milk dumped out on the sand. Out of nowhere, the creature shot forward and smashed its head right into the spot where the bottle had been sitting. The creature lifts its head and swallows the whole bottle, dirt and all, like it's nothing. He flashes a confident grin and lets the group know he's got a plan. He wants everyone to pay attention. He pulls out his phone and drops a quick voice note, laying out his new idea for the group. Everyone gets the audio and lets him know they're on board with his plan. The older girl wonders how the hero managed to get the girl to trust him that fast. He just shrugs and says he got lucky. These guys basically pulled him out of a dark place and gave him something to stick around for. He stands there, eyes locked in, thinking about how he messed up before and couldn't keep them safe. This time he's not holding back. He's ready to put everything on the line for them, no matter what. She really felt something after hearing what he said, thinking it was pretty cool to have met everyone in this life. He just smiles a little, keeping it chill. He gets up totally locked in and lets everyone know it's time to get going. All the girls instantly yelled back together, letting everyone know they understood.
Lately, I've had a strong addiction to watching manhwa and manga recap videos. Every single day, I find myself binging one after another, losing hours and days doing absolutely nothing productive. And honestly, it's getting out of hand. So, maybe we can make these viral videos too. I mean, look at the views, the growth, the community these creators are building. It looks simple, right? But that's a trap. You go down this endless rabbit hole, spending money, losing sleep, hiring editors and writers from Fiverr and Upwork, and still feel like you've been robbed. Because don't forget how emotional the YouTube algorithm can be with making videos go viral. It's unpredictable, especially when the market's saturated, competition's relentless, and somehow other creators are dropping 10-hour videos daily while you're stuck trying to finish one. That's when I realized something had to change. So, I built the solution, the Webtoon Narrative Suite, a complete one-click system that handles everything from cropping, script narration, text-to-speech, image processing, and full video generation in one smooth process. Save money, reduce hours of work, and have a tool that only gives you straight results. Click on the link down below and experience it for yourself. And if you want even more tools to supercharge your YouTube recap journey, visit my Ko-Fi and Patreon pages where I drop weekly new tools designed to keep you ahead as AI continues to steal our jobs. So tap in now before you get left behind.